Luke, get off the counter. Good kitty. Okay. Anyways, I'd like to welcome everyone from the cities of San Francisco and Kansas City for enjoying our therapy session today. And for those of you who are living in either Los Angeles or Cincinnati, congratulations to going to the Super Bowl. But yes, for the rest of the world, I imagine you're feeling some emotional damage. Brandon McClure, how do you feel about your team losing to one of the teams advancing in sports this year?
Oh, this is a sports bit.
It is a sports bit, yes.
Oh, I got there.
Eventually. But is it sports bit or are you in the Matrix?
It's too late for that bit.
It's too late.
Brandon loves sports. I can't deal with you right now. I can't deal with the tiny alfalfa tuft of hair poking at the top of your desk.
There was an alfalfa tuft of hair coming out of Ryan's
finished.
Just like boop, because he tried to zip it up before he started, but his hair was gonna get trapped in
Too much
of your
hair.
and there was just like
oh my gosh.
2 fingers worth just popping out in the Matrix.
All right, finish your bit.
Yeah, no, my bit's dead. Anyways, this is episode 270. Good God, 270 episodes. Holy crap. Of the Fake Nerd Podcast. I am Ben Magnet. That is Brandon T. McClure.
Hello.
Who doesn't like sports at all, who has no idea what the heck I'm talking about. But Sparks Witty might have an inkling of what I'm saying, or what I was saying.
I definitely do, but also Brandon does like sports. He loves virtual dodgeball.
That's like it's ESPN 8 the Ocho.
I also really like. Okay, hold on. I also like Ultimate Frisbee.
See?
All right. And Ryan Eliopoulos, who's just along for the ride, and is like
this just in. Brandon also wears socks with sandals.
Oh, you're a shoebie. See, Ben, I know sports. I just don't partake in sports anymore. It's just not my thing anymore. It's just not for me.
Originally, I was gonna be like, if you live in the cities of San Francisco and Kansas City, I'm like emotional damage from the famous TikTok / Instagram reel guy, but I totally forgot about that.
Real quickly, I just want to address the socks and sandals debate happening off the side here.
It's not a debate.
It's not a debate.
What
No.
is going on?
No. There is a very good reason. I don't want you guys to see my toes. They're gross.
So don't wear sandals.
Brandon, my joke with that wasn't the fact that you actually do that. My joke with that is that everybody who likes Ultimate Frisbee does that.
I guess I don't like Ultimate Frisbee that much. Don't even get it. All right, hi guys.
All right.
We got some links in the description. I'll just interrupt us and get us back on topic. We have some links in the description. Real quickly, as far as this network goes, make sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel, and you can check out all of our other things. Sparks was kind enough to split up our episode from last week, so both Matrix discussions, the topic and the book club, are available as their own videos.
Ooh.
Yeah, we'll see what kind of traffic that book club gets.
So if you guys just want the Matrix stuff that we're talking about, it's all there for you, baby.
They're not done yet.
And Ryan, no.
Hey. Nope.
All right, that's the wrong one.
All right, bye.
All right. And then other thing on the network, speaking of book clubs, my interview with Ryan Parrott dropped, our special for the Fake Nerd Book Club. That dropped this week. That was a really awesome interview. I can say that I've read the first 2 issues of Rogue Sun. They're great. He was a really cool guy to talk to. He was very fun. We had a lot of the same energy going on, so we were bouncing off each other. I felt very well. Just an all-around good interview. I felt anyway. So yeah, if you want to check that out, if you're excited for Rogue Sun, or if you're just interested in his Mighty Morphin Power Rangers stuff, which he is like the only guy writing that book right now, check it out.
Beautiful.
And there's some personal links in the description. For example, Ryan, for real this time, Ryan.
For reals.
Downright annoyed with Upgrade.
Let me upgrade you. Yeah, I picked 2018's Lee Winnell's Logan Marshall Green, not Tom Hardy's Upgrade. That movie is a modern sci-fi classic, I think.
I also think that.
That's all I want to say. If you haven't seen Upgrade, go see Upgrade. I'm just gonna say you're a fool if you haven't seen Upgrade.
Did we review Upgrade?
No.
Or was that pre?
No, it was. We were doing stuff, but we didn't review it.
Got it.
Yeah, I think it kind of slipped under our radar. It was so long ago.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it in theaters. I don't remember.
Yeah. And then Ben,
Yeah.
you had a lot of stuff this week, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I did. Oh yeah, I did.
You did. So first, Lack of Genius.
Yep.
So you're on that for that episode.
That episode is up. I was a guest on their show, and according to friend of the show Grayson, if you listen to that show all the way through, because they put little snippets at the end from during the episode that kind of like a farewell, kind of like what we do sometimes. I was the first guest to ever have one of those snippets at the end of the show.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's linked below. Sorry, it had nothing to do with like the content of the episode, so it kind of threw me.
Yeah,
like I thought you were going to talk about like, oh yeah, we talked about this. It's a fun thing. And you were like, no, we did a thing.
Apologies. I gave them I crafted and gave them a retro video game quiz that was pretty good, if I do say so myself. Had a lot of good, interesting nuggets of knowledge in there. So definitely go check that out and expand your knowledge of retro video games.
So that's linked below. And of course, Ben, also you were going through Super Mario 3D World with Grayson on his channel, Grayson Live. Both of the episodes that dropped this week are linked below.
Yep. I mean, there's not much to say, but the only really fun bit I'll say is when the latest episode dropped, I want to say on Friday. Yeah, let's say Friday. When that one dropped, Grayson put on his little tweet about Sailor Moon. I'm like, what? Did we talk about Sailor Moon in that? And apparently we did. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot. I'm a... what was I going with this? Oh, yeah.
A weeboo?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm totally a weeb.
Or a weeb. I don't know.
It's a weeb. Yeah. Totally a weeb. Sailor Moon's awesome. Sailor Venus is my favorite. Don't at me.
Super Mario 3D World.
I don't think anyone was going to at you about that one, buddy.
All right.
And then a latest issue from your Old School Gamer magazine stuff is up.
Yep, I published an article on the website, oldschoolgamermagazine.com. I looked in the news. This isn't news, but I'll definitely talk about it more in my week. And the article is essentially me talking about why Atari, Konami, and what Square wants to do with a certain internet trend is a very bad way to celebrate big anniversaries. It's mostly aimed at Atari and Konami because they're having big anniversaries this year, or at least they had one in the previous year. And the way that they're celebrating them makes me sick to my stomach. And I'll talk about more about that in my week.
All right. Of course, my screen rant work. That's all for Ben. My screen rant work is always there. I got a Brendan Fraser article coming later. It's I got a Wachowski one, and I got a was the Sam Raimi one this week? I don't know. Well, there's a lot of stuff there that I've been writing. I've been writing a lot for them. So check it out if you're interested. It's all there. But also. For Atomic Geekdom, as I've mentioned before, I'm going through what I believe to be the 50 defining moments of the MCU during the Infinity Saga, of a series called Revisiting the Infinity Saga. The latest issue, the latest piece, entry is up on Atomic Geekdom. That's 48. First Dance between Captain America and Peggy was the topic I talked about. So that's all linked down below. Check them all out. We all work really hard. We like the stuff that we put out. So do us a favor and check it all out if you want.
That was really interesting. That was interesting. I wanted to put Cap and Peggy's First Dance on the list. I was like, oh yeah, that is a moment I forgot. That is a nice moment. I
lost all emotional stability at that scene, so I figured it should be up there. But you know, I'm working my way to what I think is like the most defining moment, which I've actually already talked to Sparks about. So spoilers, Sparks, you know it.
I do.
I'm just here for the ride. I look forward to every time I see a new one of those game posters. Like, sweet, what moment has he got to talk about this time?
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right, who wants to go first of their week?
Ben.
I guess I will. All right, fine, but that's okay. So, media-wise, I caught up on Demon Slayer. The newest episode dropped today. Of course, it ended with a cliffhanger that made my entire household go, no! Because it was a very emotional cliffhanger. Something premiered this week that I was looking forward to, and I saw the first 3 episodes in one go, because luckily they're short. They're like 20, 25-minute episodes, and that's The Legend of Vox Machina that dropped on Amazon Prime this week. And it made me so excited that I actually went through iTunes to try and re-listen to some of the old Vox Machina campaign. I found it, and I'm listening when, Ryan, you know when they started taking the job from the Slayers take in Vasselheim.
There's like 400 episodes. I don't remember when that is.
That's like episode...
That was years ago.
Probably, that's only like 5 years ago at this point.
That's like episode 40-something. But
Okay,
yeah,
that's early.
did anyone else, Ryan? Did you watch it at all or not yet?
No, I forgot it came out. No.
Yeah. Just the whole time I'm watching it, it's one of those shows where if you haven't seen or you don't know what Critical Role is, what Vox Machina is, it's a very entertaining, albeit very gory show. But if you have listened to all the episodes, you're gonna you get so much more. Like there's stuff from the Chroma Conclave, the Briarwoods. There's so many things about in these first 3 episodes that made me go, oh my god, I can't wait to see what they do.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things, so I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, it's really well animated. It's just fun to listen to. I had to keep reminding myself that all the original voice actors are there because, I mean, when you first listen to them doing the podcast, they're not behind a booth. They don't have anything to like tweak their voices or whatever or to like make it crisp and clear. But man, they are still those characters. It's just so nice to hear them. And also, I love like pointing out where Matt Mercer is throughout the episode.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he's probably cameos like a bunch of people. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, he's the Dungeon Master, so of course he has to do different voices. And every time he pops up, it's like, oh, there he is.
This is probably a really stupid question, so I'm going to ask it anyway. There's a lot of celebrity guest stars that they announced a couple weeks back, like David Tennant, and that's the only name I recognize. But still, like they have all these people. They're not voicing the character like they weren't in the original podcast, right? Okay,
no, they weren't. The characters that like the character that David Tennant voiced, it would have been Matthew Mercer if in the actual podcast. Sometimes. I mean, Joe Manganiello came in for a few episodes. Will Wheaton and a few other famous actors came in because they also play Dungeons and Dragons, and they have their own separate characters. So if those characters were to make it into the show Legends of Vox Machina, I can only assume they called them up and said, "Hey, you want to record some lines?"
I 100% think like Joe Manganiello would show up in the show.
Oh
like,
yeah,
that only makes sense. Like he's hung out with them multiple times, and his like his own D&D character is like ingrained in their history and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so Legend of Vox Machina, I would highly recommend it. It's like the first 3 episodes. When I didn't know they dropped the first 3 episodes. I mean, I guess it's kind of their MO because they did the same thing with Invincible, but they're like only half hour long. It's an hour and a half to watch all 3. Really entertaining, really good, and I say give it a shot.
Hell yeah, I'm excited.
Awesome. Yeah, and now to the big one. So obviously earlier I talked about my article. I found out that Atari celebrating this year's Atari's 50th anniversary, and for them to celebrate it, Atari decided that they are going to do something called GFTs, which are essentially loot box NFTs for their 50th anniversary, and I freaking hate it. It is the dumbest. And another piece of media I was listening to the video Line Goes Up, which is a 2-hour and 18-minute long NFT video, which essentially gives us the whole history of cryptocurrency and NFTs. God, this stuff scares me because not only is Atari doing it, Konami did it for Castlevania's 35th anniversary. They released 14 NFTs in an auction, and with that auction, they earned over $162,000.
Mm-hmm. I want to real quickly also chime in. Every time a new movie shows up on AMC's, like hey, tickets for this movie are out now. They always say, buy tickets for this movie and get a free NFT.
Yep.
Oh god,
it's the trend, and it's going to be here for a while, unfortunately, because the billionaires love it, and the rich people love it, so they're going to shill it until it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a 2-hour long video, but if you don't really know what an NFT is,
it's incredible.
Definitely give that video a watch. It clears up a lot of things, and it just this whole cryptocurrency, because I didn't like cryptocurrency before. Now I doubly hate it, and because the way these companies are doing, because all Atari is doing is just doing this big GFT thing, and they're also only selling T-shirts on the website. They're not doing anything else. No other merch, no other celebratory video games coming out. No, nothing. It's just the it's just the GFTs and a few T-shirts. And if you go on their website, they're all sold out.
It's truly insidious because like there's no easy way. Like to buy NFTs, you have to get in the cryptocurrency. That's how you buy it, is through cryptocurrency. So like from the bottom to the top, it's all scam, no matter which way you look at it. And it's like, that's why so many people, like anytime anyone announces it, someone's immediately on top of them like, this is a bad idea, you should reconsider. And if they're smart, they do. And a lot of them don't.
Since we're talking about it, Ryan, you shared the Fallon bit
That's one of the
Oh.
most insane interviews I've ever seen, because the audience is like, "Are we supposed to clap?" And then they're told to clap, and everyone starts clapping for a monkey picture. That's
For
obviously
those ugly
ugly.
pictures, yeah.
Ugly.
Oh, I haven't
That's
seen
what that's-
the
And
found
like,
bit.
and like looking at that moment of them both like sharing their apes, I'm like, oh my god, like this feels like this would be a bit in a film about like, wow, this is where society
Like
really crumbled,
Idiocracy.
huh? And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Ben, did you see that video?
I haven't seen the found bit, but if they're discussing the whole apes thing, because the thing about crypto, especially with the people who are in it, it's either you're all in and you're like a televangelist essentially. Like the video line goes up, calls them evangelists, because that's how crazy into this they are. And like any form of criticism, it's like, you just don't understand. You don't understand. But of course, the second something goes wrong, like someone hacks into another guy's crypto wallet, steals $19,000 worth of crypto, whatever, they can't do anything about it. I've seen screenshots of people with their NFTs as a stupid profile picture on Instagram. And of course, you get a lot of people replying with the same one. And the guy goes, "Oh, I'm within walking distance within my police officer." Cops ain't gonna do jack shit.
Can I also share the funniest tweet I saw in regards to Twitter's like, hey, now you can put NFTs as your profile picture. It's going to be a hexagon. And someone was like, this is a great first step, Twitter, but you got to get rid of, if you really want to be NFT progressive or whatever, you got to get rid of the right click button or whatever. And someone took a screenshot of that tweet and then posted it and said, yeah, Twitter, get with the program. And they had the same profile picture. And I was just like, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's nightmarish. And I think that the two thoughts on NFTs real quick. I think that this very clearly, especially this week, has shown like, maybe just sometimes don't trust that celebrities actually understand what they're endorsing.
Not at all.
Never.
No.
Pretty much never. Assume that they haven't done the research and don't know, and they're just hopping on the
trend.
lot
of them
this
is
has been
like
a wonderful example of that, where it's like, oh man, look at you rally to this cause of you have no idea what you're doing.
Case in point, Troy Baker.
Yeah, that dude's been he's usually vocal on Twitter, but he's been silent for 2 weeks, and I'm like, man, he got his ass handed to him, and like he's still recovering from that, and I get it, because like I can imagine getting millions of people yelling at you.
Yeah. I mean,
Kevin Smith sold one of his movies as an NFT.
Yeah, he's super into it, and like that dude's so far gone in his own hole.
We're playing really fast and loose with getting too close to the reality that money isn't real.
Yes,
and we need to be really careful with that.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing about digital art and everything is stupid. Yeah.
I mean, I mentioned this in the article, but with gaming companies Ubisoft's doing its own thing. I didn't really mention Ubisoft in the article.
Let me tell them real quick what Ubisoft does. So like they're doing their own gaming NFTs, where if you play for like 600 hours, you'll get a helmet that only you can have. And then you can sell it for as much money as you want. And that's like, you own that helmet. It is only your helmet. You can give it to someone else. And like, who's going to buy that helmet for $10,000? What do you tell? It's stupid. It's a stupid market, and it's failing. It's losing them money.
Like, what scares me with NFTs, like especially what Ubisoft is doing, or even what Atari is doing with their GFTs. Well, since it's a freaking GFT loot box, that's even dumber.
It's even more gambling. Like, you're gambling for a fake thing.
It's even worse. If you go to that freaking website and you go scroll down, they have like a rating. You have a 0.2% chance of getting the rarest freaking one. It's like, oh, great. Do I buy a lottery ticket or do I buy a GFT? Rather buy a lottery ticket. At least then I get real money if I win.
Yeah. Well, it sucks, and we all know it, Ben. Don't worry.
Yeah, it sucks. I hate it. Yeah, of course, the second I put that thing on Instagram, like 4 NFT bots on Instagram were like, yo, promote on this. I said no. I blocked them all.
Oh, yeah.
That was like,
perfect. Yeah. There's a perfect Venn diagram of people who understand NFTs are bullshit and also like the Matrix Resurrections, and they're the same people.
Yeah, so that was my big thing. That was my big thing, because I saw that. I was like, dear God, Atari, why? Did a little digging, and I was like, yikes, this is a scary ass thing. So NFTs suck, cryptocurrency sucks, and next time I go to a LA Kings hockey game, I'm going to cringe because freaking Crypto.com bought this naming rights to the Staples Center. It freaking sucks.
That is the craziest thing.
I hate that name so
much. Now.
Crypto.com. God, it's god awful. It sucks.
Digital scarcity is not a thing. It does not exist. Do not make it a thing.
No, it's not. And yeah, right-click save, mother effer. So besides that, I did do some fun things besides scream at NFTs and the uncaring void. I played a little... Brandon, we played some Knockout City this week, right? Or am I misremembering?
We did.
Yeah, we played some Knockout City earlier today. I played some Fortnite with these two guys and Marty, friend of the show.
You played Fortnite with him.
No, I know. I'm not Knockout City.
I know you were really hot on it.
I'm talking about Fortnite.
You just haven't touched it since.
Hey guys, sometimes you don't like a game as much as other
No,
people.
it's
No
cool.
big deal.
That's fine. That's fine. I played Knockout with him. I played Fortnite with you guys. We kicked ass and took names. It was a fun time.
You did kick ass.
Yeah. Also, I'm replaying Final Fantasy 3 on my DS. Freaking love that game. I got to a boss which I was stuck on the first time I played it. Second time around, kicked its ass. I'm like, okay, must have missed something the first time I was playing it. Now I'm farther in the story than I've ever been. So
because you're a grown adult and you know better now. You know how to be a JRPG man.
Yeah.
Ben, you've grown as a person.
Yeah, that I have. And that's pretty much it. That's my week.
Beautiful.
All right. Who wants to go next?
Most of my stuff is with you, so let's just go.
Okay.
You go first.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't really do much.
We finished. You'd seen it. I finished Midnight Mass. He was there. Yes. Midnight Mass is great. Believe the hype.
Yep.
I really like it. Really, really like it.
We can't. One thing, like,
I can't talk a lot about
you can't talk a lot about it because it's a show that, like, the story itself is a spoiler, which I'm glad that, like, it hasn't been, like, massively revealed to the world, which is great.
Yeah. There's some stuff about that show I'll be thinking about for a long time. There's an ending of an episode that is maybe one of my favorite endings to any episode of anything.
Is it like the sad one?
Oh, yeah. And then we sat there through the credits and but then there's also it probably has like one of my favorite like contemplations on death in general. I don't think that's a spoiler.
No.
It's very good. Flanagan knows what's up. I watched this week's episode of How I Met Your Father. I like that. It's very cool.
Oh, I did that too.
I'm happy for Hilary Duff.
New theme song?
It's like
an
alternate version of the original.
That's what I wanted, actually.
Yeah. Peacemaker, Caught Up. That's a great show.
We watched 2 episodes.
That's a great show. That's a great show.
No, yeah, for real. Man, like, I didn't think, like, I honestly, like, I'm liking it more and more as I go. And this last episode was it was one of the most action-packed. But, like, it had some serious, like, emotional stuff to it. And the end ends on a cliffhanger. And you're like, this is a James Gunn thing. Where, like, he loves killing fools. And I'm like, I care about every single one of these characters. And I feel like any one of them could die. And I'm like, I know it's going to happen. And I really I don't hope, whatever the next episode is, I hope it's not that. Because that would be traumatizing.
Yeah.
But it's in a really interesting place. And, like, again, like,
really great character growth.
Like, it's because it's a TV show, so it obviously has more time. But, like, these are the most well-developed characters in the DC universe. And it's Peacemaker and Vigilante. It just boggles my mind. Like, I am so in love with these characters.
Yeah.
And it's really because of the writing. The writing is just so sharp. Vigilante, like, I hope that dude gets a resurgence into the beautiful psychopath character that he is today. Like, give him a solo where he's this young, doesn't know the difference between murder and graffiti as a crime, so he'll kill you both. Like, what a dude. I love following him. He loves chainsaws. It's a great time.
Yeah.
Great time.
So awesome. I agree completely. Peacemaker's awesome. And I think it only makes the Suicide Squad better.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I watched some Craig of the Creek because I'm super behind. So I decided I had some time and I was looking for something to do. And I'm like, I'm gonna pick back up on Craig of the Creek. That show's great. If you like cartoons, Craig of the Creek. Legends of Tomorrow. I watched the most recent episode. Not the most recent. A little bit behind. I watched an episode. It was good. Legends of Tomorrow continues to be kind of like the best version of what I think the Arrowverse shows can be, aside from Superman and Lois and Black Lightning, which is now over. So, Batwoman, I also watched, and it was totally cool and all right. It's there. I'm not crazy about the new Joker created by Joker.
All right.
I'm not vibing that story as much as I'm vibing the Poison Ivy one, which is fine because like it's clearly the secondary story to Poison Ivy, but like kind of don't care for it.
You know, I was gonna say it's kind of cool that like they found a workaround of using Batman's villains by like making them legacy villains. I think that's a cool workaround for that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's been really nice with some of them for sure.
Yeah.
Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, right. I did watch an episode of The Mandalorian this week. I loved it.
If I had a table in front of me at the end of the episode, I would have flipped it over. That's how I feel about Book of Boba Fett right now. So,
wait, I don't know if that's a good one or
it's bad. I'm not happy.
No, I agree with you, but it's because I like this episode so much, which is like
but I'm not happy with.
No, I get
right
it.
Now.
Yeah.
So,
no, yeah.
We've dovetailed and turned, and like I now don't have faith that the show will.
Now you're where I'm at.
Now I'm where you're at,
Yeah.
I don't have faith that the show is actually going to end in a satisfying way for Boba Fett's story.
Yeah, but like,
so I'm like, cool.
Is it?
Really glad this is the Mandalorian season 3 subtitled Book of Boba Fett. This is really a story about Mando. But that's where I'm at.
Yeah,
sorry.
but a dude got sliced in half though.
Should probably watch that.
You didn't watch it.
No, I haven't seen it for a couple.
You're the guy who likes it.
That's why I stopped watching it.
Minor spoilers. Mandalorian is all up in that episode.
Oh no, yeah, I don't think that's a spoiler.
Yeah, it's we'll see. Maybe I'll be wrong. I will be happy to be right about what I originally desired for the show because I've been really happy up to this point. It's funny because like it's a good episode, but it's a good episode that pissed me off.
It's in the wrong way, yeah.
Superman, Lois, Ryan, and I are back to it. We're trying to catch up.
I'm so glad we're back to it.
It's a great show. We came back on the right episode.
Oh my god. I love that show, man. And again, like all like Kyle, the father of one of like the kids who's a side character. He's like just this random like Southern guy. I like him a lot. He's just a dad trying to do his best, and like he got turned into a supervillain, and now he's not a supervillain. And he's like, I feel bad about it. And I'm like,
a very clear analogous stand-in for a guy who got duped by Trump but was really had the best intentions when he did it.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in that show. Yeah, you're right. That show's great.
I also watched some Mobile Suit Gundam. I'm trying to get back on that because like I like it. It's got good military story stuff. Amuro is maybe one of the worst characters I've ever watched in any fictional property ever.
Oh my!
And he's the main character, and I think he's shit. But everybody else is fantastic. So you're kind of like, at least there was a recent episode where Amuro is just kind of like, what if I just don't do the Gundam?
Oh my God, is he Shinji?
He's worse. Shinji has like reasons to be Shinji.
Granted.
Amuro has nothing. He's like super privileged and just decides that his only valid thing was that he's like, bro, I'm like really tired because I've been doing nothing but defending this base for like 2 weeks straight from every single attack that's happened because I'm the only person that can pilot Gundam. And I'm like, that's fair, Amuro. But then everything else about that is like his reaction to it is, what if I just don't help anymore? What if I quit? You guys do it. I don't care. Like he's like, his whole thing is that like for some reason he has to be the only guy who can pilot the Gundam, and that's the only reason we need Amuro around. And then outside of that, Amuro is kind of the worst character ever. So I really hate him. But the rest of the show is great. It's really interesting because Char is supposed to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I love him. He's probably my favorite character.
Yeah,
so
Char.
So bad you love him.
Just wait till after you're done watching this. Go ahead and watch Mobile Suit Gundam: The Origin. Oh, you're gonna love them even more.
Ben, I've got my list. I know what I'm doing.
All right.
Amuro's a piece of shit, though.
No, you're absolutely right. Even Amuro kind of sucks. Not kind of. He really sucks. Every other soldier, every other pilot on that team, I'm like, I like you more. The only reason why I tolerate Amuro is because he's the pilot of the Gundam, and that's my favorite mobile suit.
That's the only reason anybody tolerates Amuro. Yeah. I'm really glad that it's a very good updated dub. I think it's very, very well designed. It's a good sound. They've got really good voice actors for pretty much everybody, even Amuro. Like the voice actor is very good at playing the piece of shit that Amuro is. My thing about it is that like it's so wild to me to be watching Scooby-Doo style animation.
Yeah.
But like such an intriguing and intelligently written military story about strategy and how they're traveling through space and how they need to plan what they're doing. Also, The good guys do a really shitty thing where I'm like, this is kind of messed up. They have a bunch of civilians on white base. And so they're like, hey, and they radio to Zion because Zion has been like chasing them and attacking them like this whole time. They're like, yo, man, like we're on Earth now. We've made it pretty far. Can we like cool it for like 2 hours and let us put a transport ship down just to get the civilians off our military vessel? And they're like, you know what? That's fair. Yeah, sure. And then the Federation is like, we're gonna put the Gundam on the transport and get it behind their troops. They were so nice, but we're gonna screw them for it. And I'm like, that's kind of rude. They were really nice. They let you put the civilians down.
Is that a war crime? Sounds like a war crime.
It was a little like, I don't know about that decision, guys, but okay. Like, it gets even worse because there's a part where like one of the troops who's working for like who would be the bad guys, the Zion, is like flying over and he sees a mother and child heading off in the wrong direction, and he's like, I feel kind of bad because like there's nothing where they're going. They think their village used to be there and it's not. And so he flies back to drop a supply parachute for them.
Well, it seems not that so
and
bad.
Amuro's like, yo, I'm gonna screw them up when they fly back the other way though. I'm gonna shoot that ship down. And I'm like, this is bad. This is maybe not good.
Yeah. Definitely tell.
That's why the show's good.
Yeah. That's why it holds up.
Yeah, Mobile Suit Gundam definitely has its moments where you would think that, oh, the Earth Federation are the good guys, Zeon are the fascists, and then you see the dark side of both, or like the dark side of what the Federation can do and what Zeon can do as like, hey, they're not all horrible people.
Right. Yes.
The zombie family sucks. I mean, the zombie family, yeah, like what happens to the zombie family, good for them. But everything else, it's like, oh man, why is the Federation doing this?
Because of the feds.
Yeah. And lastly, the last thing I'll bring up is that it was Ryan's birthday. And I think for his birthday, he and I might have just become best friends.
Yes!
Ryan showed me Step Brothers, which I've never seen before.
I love Step Brothers. No. It's been a long time since I watched it. Definitely came out in the 2000s. It's got some potty humor that's no longer cool. Some R words, some F words,
some hard R words.
Yeah. It was different time. But outside of that nugget of history, I think it still holds up. I think it's exceptional. I honestly, looking at it this time, I love all the side characters. I think even more than the main characters.
Catherine Hahn going buck wild.
Catherine Hahn you will never see her be more wild. And then she made a movie called Bad Moms after this, and she's the bad mom in this movie. Really great stuff. Richard Jenkins, who's the nice old man in so many movies, like he's so fun and unhinged.
Yeah, he is. He's out of it.
Just like a really truly stupid bonkers movie, where a lot of the improv just really works. And a lot of specific comedy that just like you have to see it to believe it. Like, especially like the drum set stuff with like the opera music. That will always make me laugh no matter how many times I see it.
I am so surprised they didn't do a rule of 3 on that.
Yeah, they only got to twice.
The opera's thing only happens twice.
Yeah.
I thought for sure, well, there will be a third time, then he's going to do it.
Yeah. I think I'm glad I got to watch it again with my homies. Good. It's a very fun time.
It's a goddamn Catalina wine mixer.
It is. Yeah.
Ryan.
What's up? So I
birthday.
did everything he said.
I said happy birthday, damn it.
Oh, sorry. Thank you so much. I'm already over my birthday. It's cool. I appreciate you. I don't talk about it every week, but I'm always reading X-Men comics. Chris Claremont wrote X-Men for almost 17 years. So I'm working my way through. I'm almost at 200, which is cool. So I still have like a couple hundred more issues. But that stuff's still great. I love X-Men. There's a great Infinity comic called Spine-Tingling Spider-Man. And it is a horror Spider-Man comic where I don't think it's Nightmare itself, but it's a nightmare-esque demon creature traps Spider-Man in his dreams.
This is one of the Marvel Unlimited
the webtoon, basically. That webtoon's one, yeah, where it's like it's all scrolling one giant art image. If the artist puts the effort in, like sometimes they're just regular comics. This one, it's really beautiful and cool. The issue 7 is really cool because like Spider-Man, he meets a bunch of people who are trapped and they are really scared. And this little boy is like, oh my God, are you Spider-Man? Please help me. And Peter Parker is going through his own shit, but he sees that someone needs help. And he's like, oh shit, no, I am Spider-Man. I am the guy. And he rises up and he's like, what's up, New York? I'm Spider-Man. Let's get out of this dream. And he's like, you are not lazy. You are not scared. You are warriors. All of you are warriors. And it turns into Inception. And he's like, if you believe it, you can be it. And then they all like get like dream weapons and then become like dream warriors to fight this demon. And I'm like, this is so weird. And it's like a rock opera Spider-Man horror comic. And I'm like, this feels great. Check it out if you got Marvel Unlimited. I played some Fortnite. Green Goblin looks real cool. It's got a cool pumpkin glider. Big fan of that. And then I watched a bunch of stuff. I watched some Matrix Resurrection scenes because it's no longer on HBO Max on YouTube.
Okay, yeah, I guess my turn. Outside of, I didn't really do a whole lot because I was really busy this week. But like, I watched some Battlestar. We're done with season 3, going on to season 4. Read my book, but so I'll only highlight like 2 things I did. So I did Dragon Ball Mystical Adventure. That's the 3rd Dragon Ball film that adapts the basically the first tournament arc loosely.
Yeah. Second tournament.
Second tournament. Really?
Yeah, because the first tournament happens before the Red Ribbon stuff.
Oh, right, but it's the first in this one because they shuffled it because that's it, the Master Roshi.
Yes, but it's adapting the second tournament, really.
Right. Anyway, I actually found it more enjoyable than the first 2. It's the weirdest one because it shoves a lot of that arc in there, like way more than I thought. Like Dr. Slump shows up, and I'm like, "Do you have time for this? You're only 50 minutes."
Dr. Slump.
It's funny that they kept that crossover from the show. Like that was important to them. But we got to get that Dr. Slump crossover in there.
Dr. Slump is the other manga that Toriyama made before Dragon Ball that got very popular and famous. And there's a little girl in it named Rayleigh, and she's basically an undefeatable android. And there's even an episode of Dragon Ball Super where she comes back again, and neither Goku or Vegeta can defeat her, and like canon is meaningless.
Pretty much. General Tao is still a fun character. I like him. Weird choice for what they did with Chaozu and Tien. Chaozu is an emperor.
Yep.
And Tien is his confidant.
Yep.
Essentially. Weird.
I suppose if you think of like little like baby emperors, I could see Chaozu being one of those, like little cherubic, I guess.
It's also the only backstory Chaozu has ever been given.
Because he's always just been like a clown boy to me. Like I don't.
Yeah, when we meet him and Tien, it's at the second tournament, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they're already.
He's just weaker than Tien and Tien's friend, and there's no explanation about why he looks the way he does,
like a mime
or anything like that.
Yeah,
but in the film, they're like, he's an emperor, and that's why he's like this.
Outside of that, it's really bonkers. It's goofy as hell. It moves really fast. It doesn't feel like it struggles to with what it's adapting. Ultimately, I found it very fun.
Yes, Mystical Adventure of the original traditional Dragon Ball films is the only one I think is kind of entertaining.
Yeah. And then Saga came back.
I've heard
Saga is apparently back. I don't believe it, but I'm holding it upside down, but it's here. This is the physical book, Saga. Saga came back with issue 55, and I was like, well, shit. I definitely wrote this book off. Maybe it's still good. It's great. I'm really happy to be back in that world. Fiona Staples, so wonderful to see our art back again in the world. There's some great splash pages. They're just gorgeous. Yeah, really cool. Happy that book is back.
I stopped collecting single issues a long time ago, so that is now a trade book.
That's fine. They do very well in trades.
Oh yeah.
I've been getting Saga in trade since I could.
Yeah, that's all their books. It's rare for Image to do this, but like all their books are really successful because it's like, you get the single issue and then the trade comes out the month after the single issues go on hiatus, and then the compendium comes out like 24 issues after that, and it's so consistent. At least it was before the 1-year hiatus. Yeah. It's so consistent that if you're like, oh, I missed the first 6 issues, I'll pick up the trade, and then by the time you finish reading the trade, the next issue is out, and so you can pick that up at the store. So that was such a consistent schedule that it really helped that book.
I really wish more companies were like that because, like, Robin, the Williamson like Robin solo book where he's like has like a tournament arc. Those first 2 issues were sold out of my store, so like I couldn't get it. And I looked when the trade's coming out, and it's like 6 months after the first trade would be done. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to wait that long. But like you see those trades like immediately, like they're so good about that.
Yeah, and it helps people with consistent schedules. Both trade people are like, oh, I know when the next one is coming out. It's this many months after the last one. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful system. So hopefully that continues, and that book will make it to its 100th issue.
Oh, it might take another 10 years, but it'll happen.
Right. That's it. That's all I did. I didn't do anything else but write. I was pretty busy this week.
That's great.
So there you go. So shall we get into our bread? What are you doing, Ryan?
Don't worry about it. I got cat issues.
Shall we get into our bread and butter?
I believe we shall.
Ben, pull up the chat, please.
Yeah, so Armina plus 16 goes, sup, broskies. To that I say, sup.
Hey, Pi.
That is Pi.
Oh, that's
here
Pi.
because we gave him crap about not being here.
Hi, Pi.
Okay. And of course, we have our friend. I don't even know how to pronounce
Marty.
That. Yeah, that's Marty, but I can't pronounce the screen name. So he goes,
Zedek.
what?
Adoni Zedek.
Adoni Zedek. All right, I'll try to
Black
remember that.
Chrysanthemum.
All right. Let's get right into it. Then we got some sad news up top. I don't think this is going to take very long. This is the wrong file. Oh,
Hell
no.
yeah. We love wrong files.
Hey, guys. Let's just sit here and chat for a minute while I fix my fumble. All right, there we go.
Marty says something.
Yeah, Marty does say something. He's wearing his bread and butter T-shirt.
There you go. I'm glad he got it.
Marty, remember when we got those 3 sick victory royales and we were just like, we're the best. We're the best.
Yeah, when we got them, and I was rickrolling the losers. Oh, that was so great.
We did a great league play run, you and I, with Marty today.
Woo! That's true.
Everybody's a winner today.
Knockout City. One team specifically were, I'm sure, getting a little frustrated.
We faced the same team over and over again, kept beating their butts.
They kept coming back. They didn't have to stay.
That's fair. All right, let's get into some sad news real quick. This happened today. Chesley Christ passed away this week. Now, if you don't know who this is, she was a correspondent for Extra. She did that interview with Tamara Morrison and Ming-Na Wen. And she was a former Miss USA. The only reason why I'm bringing it up is because she was 30 years old, and she died of suicide.
Oh, buddy.
That's awful.
Yeah, that was really rough.
Yeah. Man, life's hard, man, and some people just can't take it, and that is a bummer. If you feel bad, seek help, y'all. It's not bad to seek help.
Ming-Na put out that they had just been interviewed by her for a Book of Boba Fett like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's sad.
And then Peter Robbins, who is the original voice of Charlie Brown. He was in the old specials. He passed away at the age of 65. Again, due to suicide.
Hot dog, man. Charlie Brown, man, that's many people's childhoods. Man, that's awful.
Yeah. He had a long history of mental illness that was just recently diagnosed before he was sent to prison a lot because they just didn't have a diagnosis for him. I think it was bipolar disorder. I don't want to misdiagnose, but I believe that's what I read. And then finally this year.
That's sad.
Yeah, wild. Two suicides. Like Ryan said, if you feel sad, seek help.
Yeah, man, nothing's wrong with that. No.
Yeah. All right. Seeing some casting news.
Cats news? What? Cats?
Casting.
Like
Casting. I think that's a producer's joke. I don't know. All right, Batgirl, the movie, the HBO Max original movie, Batgirl. Ivory Aquino has been cast as Alicia Yo, which a lot of people had figured from set photos. This was just confirmed. This is the first transgendered character DC Comics debuted in the Batgirl book. And this is also a transgendered actress playing her.
Yeah, she's playing. People are like, how much of the Batgirl Burnside run are they doing? The Gail Simone run. And it turns out they're doing a lot because it's characters from that run. So cool. That's a very, very popular, cool run. People like that character. It's great. It's great for casting. That's awesome.
Put that movie in theaters.
Come on.
Yeah.
What? I want to see Brendan Fraser with fire on the big screen.
Me too.
Yeah.
I love Brendan Fraser, you guys.
Dude, if you don't, you're awful.
I know. Oh, I did watch an episode of Doom Patrol this week.
I want to watch Brendan Fraser and Michael Keaton fight.
Yes.
Robot Man and Batman. F you, Batman.
Yeah, I watched an episode of Doom Patrol this week. I forgot to mention.
Oh yeah. Oh, that show.
When we're caught up on Superman, Lois.
Yeah, too many shows. Yeah.
All right. Remember, Emilio Estevez is not coming back from Mighty Ducks Game Changers.
Yeah.
Well, Mighty Ducks Game Changers has cast Josh Duhamel as the male lead of the series. Now he'll play Gavin Cole, and now this is how different he's going to be to Emilio. A former NHL player turned coach, Cole is described as inspirational, charming, and a hardcore believer in using the game of hockey as a metaphor for life.
Gordon Bombay.
So he's Emilio Estevez.
Gordon Bombay. What's his name? Lou Gossage. What's his name?
Gavin Cole.
What a lame name.
They should have just had him come back and say he was still Gordon Bombay.
Josh Duhamel shows up as Gordon Bombay.
Yeah.
No, he's Gordon Bombay, but Gordon is spelled with an A instead of an O at the end.
Right. This is what they did. They were like, well, we've already written the script for Emilio. Control, find, replace.
Yeah. 100% they're like, I found the ad. I guess it's me now. Like, okay, well, sure. I mean, I like Josh Duhamel fine enough, so like this seems like a good role for him. Sure.
I really like Mighty Ducks Game Changers, so I was really sad that Emilio Estevez was not coming back. This does leave his character open to come back, so that's good.
It is good they're not like recasting him, so I guess that's probably the best,
They could still kill him.
They could still kill him.
Shoot him in the face in front of those kids.
Kill him off screen.
Yeah. What a dark way to start a series.
Imagine the Disney Plus and Mighty Ducks Game Changer Season 2 ends with an what you say moment where Gordon Bombay is shot.
Slow motion.
By Gavin Cole.
God. It's a setup the whole time.
I'm the Bombay now.
And like the former NHL player, I was like, I mean, guys, this is just Gordon Bombay.
What else are you gonna do?
Well, he's not gonna be a basketball player.
No, I know, but like,
be honest,
it is literally the same thing, though.
Look, let's be honest. This is Mighty Ducks Game Changers. You don't need to be that creative.
That's true. That's
true. All right. Fast 10 your seatbelts. That's official title yet.
Yeah. Once again, if they don't call it that, we're mad.
I got a feeling that it's gonna be called Fast X Furious. I don't like it, but I think logistically, marketing, that's the best because it looks hot and sexy.
I mean, and it's
better Fast XXX.
I was thinking the same thing.
They bring
the multiverse.
Vin Diesel's other character.
It's the multiverse.
Yes, we both had the same thought at the same time.
Too far.
Ice Cube shows up at the end. We were always family.
Oh my god.
Did y'all ever see the third Triple X?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Even better.
Horrible movie.
Even better. Ice Cube's son.
Oh yeah.
Both. Why not?
Because Ice Cube. Because at the end of Triple X 3, Ice Cube shows up and it's like, "Hey man, I always had your back." And it's like, "Great, Vin Diesel hug."
He got that paycheck, all right.
Man, there's a whole sequence in that movie where he has to bang a bunch of women to get his coat back.
I remember you telling me about that.
What a stupid movie. Anyway, the news is
snowboards in the tropical like Amazon forest or whatever.
I like the first two. I think they're pretty fun.
People have been talking about Vin Diesel's very wholesome Instagram. There was the image of him on the beach, and just every comment is like, family. Look at him thinking about family. Family. Wholesome content.
I'd rather it be that.
All right. Fast 10 your seatbelts, part 1. Jason Momoa has been cast as the villain.
That's perfect. He's perfect for the universe.
And let's be honest, the villain for now.
For now. At the end of the movie, they all team up against Cypher.
Is there one more person above Cypher?
Mm-hmm. And they're at Hobbs and Shaw. They're that robot voice. That's Keanu Reeves.
Oh, Ryan Reynolds.
Yes. Or no, Ryan Reynolds was the Spy Man or whatever.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds was the voice of the computer.
Oh, that's weird.
He said he came out and was like, "Yeah, they needed a voice," so I said, "Okay, use mine."
Yeah,
Oh,
but
that's not as
it's going to be
exciting.
somebody else, though. It's going to be like
I want it to be Keanu.
whoever's behind that voice is
I
going
want
to be like
yeah.
Keanu or something.
Charlize Theron is cool though. I mean, I still
I'd
like
love
that
Keanu to be in this universe.
Can't get one Samoan, get the other.
I want them all. Yeah, like Jason Momoa is a big cool dude. Like I can't wait to see him beat the shit out of maybe Jason Statham.
I want John Cena and Vin Diesel just
Cena's in it
slamming their
now.
bodies into Jason Momoa.
Just
That's
too
what
much
I want.
raw muscle.
All
in
them
one.
just going off a cliff and getting caught by a car.
I'm very excited for this. I love Jason Momoa. I'm really excited. I really love Jason Momoa. So yeah, bring it on.
That's good casting.
All right. The Daredevil comic book is not ending.
He's going to be Hobbs' brother. Sorry, go on.
We already met Hobbs' brother. Oh, he could have had.
He's going to be Hobbs' other brother.
Other brother.
Okay, so Daredevil. There was some chatter suggesting that
brother. Sorry.
Oh my god. Shut up. There was some chatter suggesting that Devil's Reign will be the end of Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil run. That is not the case. He is going to relaunch Daredevil with a new #1 with Marco Cicchetto. Basically picking up where Devil's Reign picked up. So he's continuing on. That's awesome.
This is fantastic, and it's the exact same team of Zdarsky and Cicchetto, which is great.
Very happy.
Yeah, Elektra is not going to be Daredevil anymore, which is fine. But we still have a Elektra Woman Without Fear title, which means Elektra has her own solo, which is just as important. So that's fine. This is another monumental run, and I thought it was over after Devil's Reign for sure. But it's like, nah, Chip loves this character so much. I'm like, cool.
Yeah. He was talking about it being like a definitely a two-hander this time of Daredevil and Elektra. Like it's both of their books.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Love it.
Percy Jackson, the Lightning Thief series, was picked up. An official title, Percy Jackson and the Olympians.
Yeah, I expected that because they weren't just going to call it after the first book. They were going to call it the whole title. Not
like Game of Thrones.
Nope.
Right.
Yeah, so that's
Who's
cool.
going to sit down every night, every week on HBO to watch a Song of Ice and Fire?
That's fair. They watch Game of Thrones.
It's the game.
You really want to cause chaos? Call it Clash of Kings and just adapt Game of Thrones.
That's also a cool title.
Yeah,
it is.
That is, and that actually works throughout the entire series. So yeah.
All right. So cool. Very excited for that show. I'm glad it's getting picked up. All right.
Disney.
Yes. Disney Plus.
Yeah, Disney.
Plus. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Still stand by. Wish it was animated, but this could still be cool.
Mm-hmm.
So this is because HBO Max's highest most streamed movie was Mortal Kombat, and it got a sequel. So Mortal Kombat 2 is officially greenlit and is happening. The director is returning. I forget his name, sorry. But Jeremy Slater is joining the team. He is the upcoming head writer of Moon Knight.
Ooh.
He is going to write the script this time around.
Cool.
They must like Moon Knight enough to be like, hey, come do this, please.
I am really hoping for the best because I think we can still do a lot of good in the Mortal Kombat film universe.
Yeah, Simon McQuad.
I'm just glad that Johnny Cage tease is not another Green Ranger tease.
It's actually happening.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot to be desired in that movie. You know, it would be nice to have an actual Mortal Kombat tournament in Mortal Kombat. But like I didn't have a problem with any of the fights. And in a Mortal Kombat movie, that's honestly the most I can ask for.
No, I only don't like one character. Otherwise, I really like that movie overall. And the Arcana thing's a little strange, but
yeah. So like, I think we can only get up from here. So
do you think that they just like
drop it,
bullshit wipe away the Arcanas?
I want to say yes,
New lore.
Because I think it'll be a thing where everyone will already be established and like everyone will already have their Arcana, so you don't need to explain that thing. But it's like, oh, they have their powers.
You could just be like, people have powers. We don't really talk about having it.
Yeah,
it's just a thing now.
Where'd you get this power? Don't worry about it.
Watch the first movie. I don't want to
talk about it.
Yeah.
People just have powers. Why do we have to talk about it?
Like Johnny Cage sees Liu Kang use his like flame dragon technique. He goes, "That guy can turn into a dragon."
Don't worry about why Johnny Cage can do green energy.
Why he can throw like globs of green goo at people. Like,
oh my god! If he doesn't do if he doesn't have his green energy in the movie, I riot.
Oh, he definitely will do some green kicks. No problem.
He better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what his Arcana is. He better do it.
Johnny Cage is good enough to beat Shinnok, so go watch Basement Arcade.
It's true.
It's true.
Early enough to know that, yeah.
All right. We got a first look at trailers. This trailer talk, guys.
Before trailers, we just briefly comment on that Zeus poster.
Oh
So
yeah.
here's the thing.
Is it fake?
No, everyone thinks it's just a Super Bowl ad.
Oh,
It's just an ad. It's like
Oh.
the
Die Hard
Crocodile
thing?
Dundee thing that wasn't a real movie.
That makes
Yeah.
far
Because
more sense.
I immediately assumed we're getting a stupid like Zeus Netflix movie, and like no, I think it's an ad for like alcohol or some bullshit. Yeah.
Or it
Okay,
could
I'm
be-
cool with that. That's
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Or it could be an ad for alcohol because I'm like, most says like, now they're probably not gonna do because the Crocodile Dundee thing was like a tourist ad for Australia.
I think it's gonna be it's marketing stuff. It's not a
A
movie.
tourist ad for Greece.
I want Schwarzenegger as Zeus. do
I
think
saw that
that's pretty
picture. I'm
good.
like, that kind of works for me.
It really works for me. The
Yeah,
next Zeus, the next live action Zeus has to be him.
When that poster, I didn't even see the date when I just saw it, and people are like, "This is a thing," and I'm like, "Yo,
What is
I'm
it?
ready to watch Zeus just like." Like, I'm ready to watch Schwarzenegger just go around and hit on women and
my
turn
God.
into weird animals
was-
and bang them, and
he
then like
was
not want to
Hercules.
be responsible for his kids.
There you go. He was Hercules, and then he becomes the father. It's beautiful.
Son
That's
becomes
what- that was-
father,
that was my-
father becomes the son.
That was my tweet where it's like you either die Hercules or you live long enough to see yourself become Zeus.
Ah, Hercules.
Hercules in New York. Okay, anyway, so that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably just like an ad. For
Sorry.
something.
It probably is, but we can dream. And until our dreams are shattered, I'm gonna say it's gonna be a movie or a thing or something.
Trailers.
Trailers.
We got a first look at Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
I guess we got a cricket. Little cricket.
Was that Ewan McGregor who was voicing
Yes.
the cricket? Okay.
Yes.
It's a teaser.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about it is that it feels nice and refreshing and different because we know there's a Disney one coming, and I like that at least Jiminy Cricket lives inside the heart of the wooden boy.
That's
That's
kinda-
already a nice change.
It's like yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
happy because it will be different. So cool.
Yeah.
And I like the look.
I like
I'm
the.
like-
it's-
No, it's Del Toro like specifically with like special effects stuff.
That was
like,
that was the detail that like hooked me, where he's like, I lived in the actual heart of the wooden boy, and I'm like, cool. So this is not your grandpa's Pinocchio.
yeah.
he burrowed
This
in
isn't-
there.
Yeah, this isn't how many bloody Pinocchio adaptations we've had over the years.
Or the
Anyway.
one about to come out with Tom Hanks.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
That's the Disney one.
Most do.
That's the Disney one. I was gonna say, wait, the animation looks pretty good. I liked how it was stop motion or somewhat stop motion.
It is completely stop motion.
Even better. I was like, sweet, I like that.
Ha ha!
It's me. I've been here the whole time.
The Cursed.
Yeah, this looks wild.
Yeah, it's like an amalgamation of like all supernatural stuff.
What
like,
are you afraid of? It's here.
You got like you definitely got werewolves. You also got like Swamp Thing monsters, like maybe vampire stuff.
Ghosts?
Scarecrow.
Fire? Are you afraid of fire?
Scarecrow, man. We got it all, baby.
Yo, that Scarecrow man reminded me of the Jeepers Creepers monster.
Yeah. Pumpkinhead.
Are you afraid of women? They're here.
This movie has it all.
Jesus.
God.
There are
Yes.
a couple of creepy shots.
Spooky lady.
With
Yeah,
ladies.
yeah.
They're spooky ladies.
All right.
Is it? See, I think it's the cursed because it's old,
Like the bitch.
like the old English.
But still, of course, if I watch this movie, I'm like, that is cursed. This is cursed. That thing over there is cursed.
Curse forever. What's cool?
Remember
Is it a
returns.
movie show?
Movie?
I'll watch it.
Is it a movie? It's a movie.
I don't know. I was going to ask you guys, was it a movie or a TV show?
I think it's
I
a
got
movie.
it.
It's a movie.
I'm
He's
like,
on
man,
it.
It looks too
You guys can talk about the next trailer. It's gonna take a second.
Oh, okay. Halo.
Yeah, Halo is a TV show that's
I was
definitely
excited
coming
about
out
Halo.
on a
The-
service.
It is an American French horror film.
Oh boy, I love it.
Were you about to do the French laugh?
I was, and I stopped myself out of respect for my friends in France, which are zero.
All right. Halo.
Yeah,
Boy, guys.
you're right, Brandon. Like,
Yeah.
I think aesthetically it looks fine. They're making some real weird choices.
Yeah, I think I don't mind doing like a different origin for Master Chief or a different whatever for Master Chief because they said it's not in continuity with the games. It's its own thing. Like, okay, cool. Cortana looks real weird though.
That is
Yeah.
just a bad CGI like Yeah, like
Not blue enough.
Not blue at all.
Not blue
Well,
enough.
Yeah.
I was disappointed in this, and I'm really bummed about that. There's clearly a lot of money put into it, but the way it's shot looks very strange. And then there's the. How do you guys feel about the voice?
Not.
Why would you change it?
Right.
There are few masked character voices that I think are iconic and cannot be replaced easily. And if you are changing them, it needs to be done by somebody who can get close to the original. Darth Vader is a great example. Anyone who isn't James Earl Jones voicing Darth Vader has to sound like James Earl Jones voicing Darth Vader. They can't go their own way with it. It needs to sound a certain way.
The thing of
Master Chief falls in that same column. That like even people who don't play those games have seen commercials with Master Chief or things like that. Like his voice is iconic and recognizable to him. It's practically a staple of Xbox itself. This is like Ben Schwartz making Sonic sound like a high-pitched Bostoner or something. This is really, really far away from the character intent in a way that doesn't make sense because you don't even see the person anyway, so I don't understand why we just don't have his voice.
That was the thing that I asked you guys a couple months back when they cast the actress who played Cortana in the game as the Cortana in the show. They cast an actor for Master Chief. And so I was thinking, like, wait, why are we doing this with Cortana, but we're not doing this with Master Chief? Like, I kind of prefer it being the other way around because, we're not going to see Master Chief's face ever.
Even if you see like a John before he dons the outfit or something,
we see him as a kid and stuff,
right? Which is fine. Like, but even if you saw him older outside of the outfit or something, right? Yeah. Like just before the first time he put it on or something, and we need an actor for that. Fine, but when he puts on the suit, then he has the voice.
Yeah,
I don't get it. It's too iconic. It's too weird to have changed it, and it's not fair to this actor to have to try and live up to that mantle.
Yeah, the thing for me is like I don't mind that it doesn't sound exactly like Chief. I think it doesn't match. I think it just sounds kind of weird.
Yeah,
it's just like a weird kind of tone. Like I don't.
But that goes back to the thing. Like, why not just have the guy who's been doing it forever because it would fit?
I don't mind like having like if you want to try to humanize the Chief more.
Sure.
Like, and you want to have like an actor coming in there, I think that's fine. It's just I think it sounds weird. It just sounds weird coming out of that. Like maybe because I am so in tune with Steve Downes as like I am the Master Chief.
It's been too long.
It's been too long, and I'm just like, yeah, there's no real reason.
Maybe if we lived in a world where Halo didn't make anything after Halo 3 that involved Master Chief, I would feel differently.
But we got 3 more cases.
But Master Chief is still around, still something that is constantly brought around for Xbox.
Even in those live action, even in the 2 live action shows and the 2 animated movies, like it's him.
Yeah. It's a weird choice. I'm not saying like it's a choice that'll break the show. It's just a choice I don't understand.
They're definitely telling their own story too. Like this is 100% not tied to those games. There's a human faction who are tied to the Covenant.
The creepy bald lady,
which is super. I think that's a cool element. Like I think like religious fundamentalism from extraterrestrialism.
I also think the aliens look good for the most part. Like I really like the look of the Arbiter. And we kind of get a glimpse of the 3 Covenant heads. The prophets.
Is Keith David back as the Arbiter?
We don't know.
I don't know.
Is that confirmed to be the Arbiter?
Yeah. There were pictures that came out. It's like with the Arbiter.
Okay, cool. I don't think it's. I feel like we would know.
That would be a big misstep.
I feel like we would know if he's in it.
Yeah. It just looks off, and I'm not sure why. And it's not just the voice. It just doesn't look. It just looks off.
I said to him like it reminds me of like a decently budgeted like sci-fi TV show, and that's not a total disrespect for like. Halo is supposed to be like, it's like on a big service, like it would be like an HBO type thing. And I think in certain aspects it does have that feel. I'm just not sold on like the human elements yet, or the Chief stuff. Like aesthetically, like muted, it looks beautiful. But like they're doing weird stuff with like Chief's like his humanity is being unlocked through the Covenant. Also, I think which is also such a strange choice.
I think the thing is, like, when you compare, and a lot of people have been making the comparison, and I get it, to like Mandalorian,
Yeah,
because you've got the Mask character as the main character. I think the thing is that Halo has proven that there are plenty of interesting human characters you can put alongside Master Chief. That
Sarge.
you don't need to make Master Chief necessarily the main character in any other property that isn't the games.
Yeah.
Master Chief can be a present character, even a secondary character, but not necessarily your lead.
And that
would be fine. And it feels weird that this show clearly still is making Master Chief the lead. And I'm like,
so that's the thing about that original trilogy is you are the Master Chief, but Master Chief he has a voice, but you are Master Chief.
Right.
And you have all the surrounding cast to raise that up. The problem that 343 did with 4 and 5 and now Infinite is they did make Chief the central character. So all the personality has to be lifted. And honestly, Chief's not that interesting. No offense. He's a cool dude. Not a lot there. You know what I mean? So like following him, I'm like, it is a Mandalorian problem. I'm like, am I gonna care?
Well, but it's like it should be like Dredd, right? Like Anderson's the main character in Dredd.
Yeah.
And it's like Master Chief should follow the flat character arc. Like Goku has a bunch of interesting cast of characters that he lifts up throughout the story, and he doesn't change. Like that's Master Chief. Like why are we going away from that?
That's like the main thing for the trailer.
Now,
like I wish there was another character who I was like, oh, cool, that's going to be a cool character to follow. And right now, I'm like, the character I'm most interested in that isn't Master Chief is Halsey, and I still don't see Halsey.
The thing that does make me excited for it that they were leaning more into the later games is like he's a person who is under the control of other people. And like that, like the harsh reality of like what Halsey did to these children.
Yeah,
they are going to lean heavy into that because we've seen that with the flashbacks, and Halsey is a main character. All that stuff I'm really excited for, and I really like that actress playing Halsey too. So like, I am cautiously optimistic.
It's just weird.
Unfortunately, Chief is the main concern for me, which is
it's just weird to not have like. Why not set this in the game universe and just do the lore?
Yeah,
that lore is strong.
Tell your own weird story. Yeah, it's maybe they like weren't allowed to. Who knows? Yeah, we'll see.
I'm March 4th, I believe.
Oh, that's so soon.
Yeah, I was expecting to be excited, but now I'm trepidatious, so that's a little worrisome.
Yeah, I'll definitely wait for that first episode.
Yeah.
Let's see.
All right. Shall we get into our main topic then?
Yes. 1 second though. I'm glad you didn't put the new trailer for Uncharted on here, Brandon, because I watched half of it and I clicked it off. And I don't do that ever. That movie. Oh boy, buddy.
No, I'm done talking about that movie.
No, I'm glad. There's a new Uncharted trailer.
No, I know, but my curiosity is.
It just looks generic as hell.
Sure.
Matrix time.
All right, let's get into our main topic. I want to real quickly make a note. So since I do the audio edits for this, I have to like trim some of the stuff between the music. And for the past, I want to say a couple months, the moment before going into the main topic has begun with Ben going, "Yee."
Yeah.
Did I do that this time or?
Yeah, and that made me laugh because just before I play the music, I go, "Yeah."
Yeah.
All right.
I didn't realize I've been doing that the past couple months. Shit.
No, it's fine. We are here. We are finally here. Our journey from our journey in the Matrix, our Matrix extravapalooza, is come to an end with a review of the Matrix Resurrections. Full spoilers from here on out. It's been a month. You should have seen it by now.
We're going back to the Matrix.
All right. Shall we get into it then? Who wants to go first?
I think this movie is pretty good. I like it a whole lot. I don't think it's perfect, but I really love it.
I also don't think it's perfect. I also really love it.
Sparks and I have a cheat because we're the only two on the panel who put it on our top 10s.
That's true.
Put
it very high.
Yep.
Yes. I also agree. I love this movie. It's not perfect, but I love this movie. And Ben, just say the same thing and we'll move on.
Well, I'm not going to say the same thing, but I do have the same sentiment that I had a really good time. I enjoyed this movie. I don't understand why it's getting all the hate it is, but then, of course, I see who's writing all the hate comments. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Other than that, it's a fine movie, and I had fun with it. It was really – I enjoyed it. I highly enjoyed it. I'm really bummed I didn't get to see it. I didn't have time to see it a second time on HBO Max.
Yeah, I
That
made
was
a
real
point.
helpful. Real helpful having it available at any time, all the time.
Yeah,
I
when
made a
I'm
note.
bummed I miss seeing it in theaters.
Okay. Where do we want to start with this one?
Well, we got to go back
Come from?
to the Matrix.
To the Matrix.
Start
I
from
really,
the-
I really like how this movie opens. It kind of opens in a similar fashion to the first film, where it's like you think that Trinity's the bad guy. In this case, you think that Bugs, who we're hearing, is the person in the chair, and it kind of subverts the expectation to be like, no, Bugs is watching something strange, a mystery.
Oh, interesting. I didn't get that read when I watched it, but sure, I agree.
Well, maybe I'm wrong then.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying like that's not that. I did not think that Bugs was the person in the chair. That's all I mean.
Got it. Marty, in the chat, have you guys given a ship in a bottle yet? Has that tier been cracked? No.
Nope.
No, it has not.
It's still waiting on it's waiting on the shelf at Hobby Lobby. It's waiting for me to pick it up. You got to get that tier, baby.
I mean,
Yep.
I gave Brandon a ship in a bottle for Christmas one year, but that's about it.
Years ago.
That's true.
There it is.
Oh, that's so tiny. Oh man, this made my life so much easier. I was gonna get a big one, like handcrafted.
No, you got to get a big one.
No, my life.
I cannot tell you how hard
Because
it
you
was
committed to this.
No, you're right. I
Okay.
did.
Side tangent. I cannot tell you how hard it was to find a stupid ship in the bottle that was small enough and in my budget. Because every time I looked up ship in the bottle on Amazon, it's like these giant ass ships in bottles, or the Lego ship in a bottle. I'm like, there's a Lego ship in a bottle with the
I would have also accepted that.
That one's cute.
Oh yeah, I was talking to Zara about it. I was like, hey, how about this small one? She's like, yeah, he'll like that. I was like, I saw a Lego one, and apparently she was looking at that one for you too.
Oh, you guys are so cute.
Yeah. Anyway,
Matrix. Yeah.
So yeah, the opening, it is fun, especially like I assume a lot of people before this movie came out rewatched all the movies. But if you didn't, like, it is still fun to like. It opens like the Matrix, and it's almost shot for shot like the Matrix.
Very close.
Very close, and then it's like the same dialogue, and then you realize that's not Agent Smith, that's Yahya Abdul-Mateen or whatever his name was, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this is wacky. And then Trinity does her thing, and I'm like, that's not Trinity.
He has a really fun role in that scene when he gets the pill, when he takes the red pill, and he just goes and he just pops up. Oh,
He's like drunk.
Agent White.
Yeah,
Trying to get it together.
I guess, like, I want to talk about the discourse around this movie to talk about this movie.
Yeah.
Because, like, the people who don't like this movie, and I get it, like, people who don't like this movie tend to not really like the sequels very much. Sure. Because they also weren't really the Matrix that they were looking for. Mm-hmm. They were closer, but they weren't what they were looking for.
I talked to some people today. I won't name all of them, but from the Downright group, and a lot of them didn't like it because they honestly just found it kind of boring. Sure. And which I get. Like, a lot of the criticisms that I'm seeing, I can agree with. It's just one of those things where, like, it doesn't bother me as much as other people.
Sure.
Because I do think this is one of those situations where, like, you're going into a new Matrix movie, and those other Matrix movies are the greatest action movies of all time. So there is some anticipation expectation there. Mm-hmm. And it's just, how much are you willing to let that go? Because that is not the movie she was making.
Absolutely.
Well, absolutely not the movie she wanted to make. This is not an action movie whatsoever.
Which is why I want to talk about that discourse. Because, like, yeah. I do think it's fair. I think it's fair to have certain expectations. It's just that I didn't want more Matrix the same.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then for, like, if you felt that way, great.
Yeah.
But if you wanted more Matrix that felt like classic Matrix,
so
you came to the wrong place.
Just real quick, like, behind the scenes of this movie, like, Zach Penn was working on a Matrix prequel movie that would have been The Force Awakens, you know, bringing the old with the new, like what every single franchise is doing, right? But luckily, the Wachowskis had a right to refusal for the next sequel. So they brought Lana in as like, hey, we're going to do another Matrix movie, which they say in this movie itself, which is crazy. We're going to make another movie. Are you in it or not? And they had to go to her first. And she's like, all right, well, I'm going to make it. And then they made an anti-sequel.
So they went to Lana and Lily.
Yeah.
And Lily didn't want to.
No, she's burnt out.
And Lana had an idea. And the context of this, because I think it is relevant and important, a lot of people have talked about is that they'd recently lost their parents. And then a close friend as well. Mm-hmm. And for Lana, being able to bring back Neo and Trinity was a comforting story. It was something that they felt a call to do this. And I think that very much, like, that's very clear. Like, a lot of people are getting focused on the meta textual nature, and like sometimes in the wrong way. I think about the fact that the Matrix in here kind of vilifies the idea of a sequel to the Matrix trilogy. But I think that's people interpreting that as saying, like, therefore this movie is stupid and mandatory and not worth having been made because I didn't want to.
Yeah.
And that's the message they get from that. And I'm like, that's not the point. The point is that that is a structured narrative of analyzing how other sequels are handled and how the sequel could have been handled, but the sequel was not handled that way. It's flying against the face of that. And it was Lana's desire, really, that I think that the main focus of the story is. It's not that metatextual nature, but the fact that, like, I just wanted to give Neo and Trinity
a happy ending.
Yeah. And that's what the movie's about.
Yeah,
and
that's what one of my biggest notes, and I don't know if it's directly response to the criticism lobby towards the film that I've seen, but like, there's a lot of talk about the roundtable of the video game when they were trying to break the story for the Matrix 4 video game, and it's like, a lot of people read that as like, oh yeah, they're just damning this movie, they're damning all sequels, they hate everything. That, and like, that's not the read I have. The read I have is that the Thomas Anderson has felt so passionately that he should be there, and that's the Lana Wachowski parallel, because she knew that anybody else who would do the Matrix would misunderstand why the Matrix works, and she knew, like, I need to be there. I need to make sure that what the Matrix is still there, because someone else isn't going to do it. People don't understand it. This is going to be my final say on what the Matrix means, what the Matrix is about.
It's so important that we have first that boardroom scene, because if there was the next scene, which I'm about to talk about, I would feel differently. But there's that boardroom scene of like, what is the Matrix? Bullet time, and you got to think smart and sexy, and like all those buzzwords, right? And like there's definitely a lot of people who thought that scene was annoying, and I get it. It's kind of the point. That is people telling Lana Wachowski what her own movie should be about. We cut to the people on the ship, Lexi, Bugs. They tell the same story of like, no, you don't know how much this means to me. Neo, your story changed my life. Those are two aspects of the same story, just in totally different directions.
Right.
And I think that is so brilliant, because she's saying a lot of people are missing that second part. Where like, I'm not damning the fans. I'm damning the people who don't respect the movie. There are fans who love my movie.
Right.
Like, they're not damning the whole audience.
That's what Bugs is.
Bugs is the audience character who loves the Matrix. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's so much personal stuff in this film. It's hard to not recognize it as like a personal piece of art. Like, I think Matrix Reload and Revolutions are cool. I think the Matrix is art.
Yeah.
I think this one is art.
Yeah.
There's something that's so personal about this one that it's hard to escape from. I mean, the whole thing you were just talking about with Bugs, the whole reason of like the moment between Neo and Bugs is Lana pulling from their own personal history about the moment when they wanted to commit suicide, but a stranger just locked eyes with them for an extended amount of time and they felt seen, and it saved their lives. And like, that's the exact adaptation of what that moment is. And there's so much of that put into this film that it's hard not to be moved by it, even though it's created in the system that is. I think that its only issue is being confined by the perception that people have of what a Matrix film should be, which is unfortunate, because I think those exact things you're talking about in like the roundtable discussion and everything, if Keanu Reeves' character of Thomas Anderson were working on any other property that weren't the Matrix, and they were analyzing that scene would be fine, and it wouldn't be criticized in that same way, like just some famous IP. Because what it's really talking about is both the isolation of being a creative and this really enforcing capitalist idea of what you need to do when consumerism overtakes art, and also, more importantly, the sense of adult isolation.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the reasons I love that montage. Is like, so it's those really powerful shots of Keanu Reeves laying on a bed with two pillows on him to comfort himself, or sitting in the bathtub with the duck on his head,
just eating the biggest steak, and just like, oh, I'm complicit. This is my life, man. Like,
he got Cypher's dream, and he hates it.
Absolutely, that is
because he feels alone.
That is what's so sinister about this new Matrix. Like, the old Matrix is like you're living like a mundane 9 to 5. This new one, it's like, no, we're gonna torment you so hard that like you were this close to your dreams, but you'll never get it. Well, that's so diabolical.
I want to ask, because I have a whole thing that I want to get into about the analyst versus the architect. Do we want to wait to get there? Do we want to talk about some of the things, or can I do it here?
I feel this is like free from, and
I think we gotta just kind of move around.
Yeah,
so that's what I kind of enjoy about like the analyst, right? What you were talking about, Ryan. Like, this Matrix isn't perfect. Like the architect was an artist, right? He was a man who like made the perfect world, indistinguishable completely from 1999, from the world of 1999. You cannot tell the difference. But the analyst doesn't care about all that. There's flaws within this Matrix everywhere. The code is in the wind. You can see like
results.
And he cares about results. You know, like the birds always flying in the same pattern, the same time of day. Like that's the analyst being like, you didn't need to make it perfect. You just kind of needed to torture them just a bit.
It's honestly, it's the good place. I made a joke a while ago. Like, it's the good place. It's like, we're going to torture you as much as you can, but before you, just enough so you still take it, but you can't break.
Yeah.
And that's like the longing, like the whole thing of like Trinity and Neo being like the core of the Matrix, like being the plus side and the negative side of a battery.
Damn, I love that concept so much.
It's such a great idea. And it's like, again, it's like, I never want Lana Wachowski to make a movie she never wants to make, but like, I love where this movie ends, but it's also like a perfect ending.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, it is the cap of like, no, they got their happy ending. That's all you need. I think it's awesome. And like the analyst is, first of all, Neil Patrick Harris is awesome. He's so fun.
Yeah.
It's cool to see him be like a super slime ball, because like while he's like Barney and stuff, he's still like a good dude. Like it's fun to see him just be like, no, I'm just a bad guy. Well,
yeah, no, I get you.
He's like truly like, I'm here to make you miserable and get like pluses on my bonuses. And it's just really cool to see like an artist's view on the Matrix. Like it's a fun. I really love the world building in this movie.
Yeah.
So speaking of the world building, one of the things I actually really enjoyed about the Matrix, especially the first half of it, was the whole time I'm thinking, what is going on? Because one of my I remember one of my issues with the new trailers is like how they are they gonna answer if Trinity or Neo, like how are they gonna bring Trinity back? She died. What are they gonna do? What happened to Neo? Did he lock himself in the Matrix? What are these questions? And then you see like the first shot of Neo / Thomas at his work desk with all the Matrix memorabilia behind him. It's like, what's going on here? Like the classic Matrix mind game was being played, especially with like the blue pills and everything. Is like, what the heck is going on? Like, I
really like how they did the blue pill, red pill sequences in this one, where there was the bit with I talked about in the beginning with this Agent Smith, Abdul Mateen. And Bugs is like, okay, normally there's a whole spiel, but we don't have time for that. So here, just take this. It's the red pill. It's going to disconnect you from the Matrix. We're good. I was like, that's a really cool concept all in all. First off, you kind of played off this idea of the blue pill, red pill. You introduced the idea that you can now do this to programs.
Yeah.
And free programs from the Matrix, which is awesome. And then the whole thing of like the modal, I'm like, there's a lot happening. There's a lot of world building just in this 10 minutes.
There is.
The modal thing took me a while to be like, oh, okay, it's like there's a simulation happening inside of a simulation.
So for a split second, I thought I was almost under the impression that that Anderson's game was the first 3 movies. And that this is what we're seeing in the real world. We're seeing someone who essentially made the Matrix, but instead of making it to a film, they turn into a hit series of video games, and they're now trying to make something else. Especially that line where you get the boss, or like the CEO of their company is like, our parent company, Warner Bros. I'm like, okay, so this is like real, actually happening, right? But then later on, it's like, oh shit, you got me. Like the Resurrections, they got me, because I thought, okay, so this is the direction we're going with. Okay, I can live with this.
The Warner Brothers drop, like honestly, like it takes a lot of balls to put that in your own movie. Like truly, like it is like this is one of the boldest sequels ever made, whether you like it or not. But like in terms of artistic integrity on a $200 million movie, there's nothing like this. Like no, like not to bring up like Marvel or DC, but like this is unlike any of those movies. Like this is a pure craft, and like I'm just glad that they got like this movie got made, because again, like I see the 7.58 version of this movie. That's The Force Awakens, where you got Keanu and you got Fishburne, but you also got new characters and they're passing the torch. And I'm just like, I'm so glad that we don't have to do that for everything. I'm so grateful for that.
And
yeah,
also,
I've been talking. Sorry, Ben. I've been talking a lot about in recent years how much I miss, like the epic love stories of the early 2000s, late 90s. Like these idea, like these people that are so in love that they can't take their hands off of each other. Neo and Trinity, Rachel and Evie and Rick, Elizabeth and will. And Neo and Trinity are such an important couple, and to make their epic love story the core of this film, the core of the Matrix itself, was such a cool idea of being like, you know, kind of like reclaiming the concept of what this Matrix was. It would never work as a passing the torch Matrix, because it has to be about the love of Neo and Trinity.
Yeah, and that whatever that Force Awakens movie would have been, wouldn't have been that.
I'm borrowing from one of the conversations Patrick Willems has had with different podcasts about Matrix Resurrections, and I don't remember which one, so I'm sorry. But I'm borrowing when I say that I really love the comparison, and I think it's very apt that this movie is essentially Toy Story 4. And I do think that that's very, very accurate. And I think like where this succeeds for me, where Toy Story 4 didn't quite work for me, is that Neo and Trinity, in my opinion, not necessarily like it's not a love story, but like Neo and Trinity of Toy Story is Buzz and Woody. So separating them at the end of Toy Story 4 didn't quite feel right for me, because Bo and Woody hadn't been a whole thing, although they did a very good job of manufacturing the love story for them to make 4 work. This works really well for me because Neo and Trinity were always the thing of the Matrix films, if you were paying attention. And it really was driven home to me by a different podcast I was listening to that I'm not going to drag, and I really like them most of the time, but like all of them didn't enjoy this movie. And one of the main criticisms that they all agreed on is what they wanted out of fourth Matrix film was for them to finally beat the machines. And I'm like, well, that was just never the point. That was never the point.
That would have been so... Again, after the talk of like Revolutions, like that would have been just like regressing.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you missed the whole point of Revolutions if that was your feeling about the fourth Matrix. Is that you wanted to see them finally overtake the machines. Like you missed the whole
I guess
thing.
they didn't watch that last movie because literally the machines and Neo team up to beat Smith.
Right.
Like they hang out as buddies.
That's the thing. We compare a lot to like The Force Awakens, and like if you think about it, what this does better for me as far as like the original trilogy going to The Force Awakens, or in this case, The Matrix Resurrections, what this one does really well for me is that it doesn't feel like it was just shitty from the moment we left them to the moment we got back. Like they were constantly always at war. This was like, there was peace. Neo, it happened.
It worked.
It worked. There was peace for many years.
Not only that, like there is peace.
Yes, there is currently peace.
Yeah. There is peace. If people want out of the Matrix, they can come out of the Matrix. There is peace. The only thing that they are unwilling to do is let Neo and Trinity out of the Matrix. Yeah. Outside of that, they're upholding everything they said.
And because technically, Neo and Trinity, they don't know what happened to their bodies.
No.
And they don't have the agents after them. They don't have all that kind of stuff. Now, people have suspected that Neo is somewhere in the Matrix, but they haven't been able to find him.
Yeah.
He's DSI'd or whatever.
Right, exactly. They changed his DSI.
Like, the only fighting that we see is fighting between machines.
There's an awesome flashback of the Machine Civil War. Give me that Animatrix movie. I don't need any more Matrix sequels. There's a 60-year gap of awesome Civil War reconstruction history between those species of humans and machines. I want all of that.
Because there was a power shortage because enough people wanted to come out of the Matrix. So they needed to expensively refund the analyst's pitch and throw out the architect, throw out the oracle, throw out the old style of the Matrix, let the analysts start over with Neo and Trinity at the center and create a Matrix that people wouldn't want to leave because they're not breaking the peace contracts if people want to stay.
Yeah.
And the analysts found the way to do that. And I'm like, that's brilliant, because Brandon's exactly correct. Like Force Awakens is a perfect example of this, because one of the biggest downers about Force Awakens and kind of that whole sequel trilogy is that they defeat the Empire, and then you just kind of get told, but they're basically doing the same thing again with the exact same kind of group.
Yep.
Like it really was all for nothing. They live for 30 years still fighting the exact same kind of forces, just under a new name.
Yeah.
And that sucks, because there's just no good political buildup for that or explanation ever.
Nope.
And that's a bummer. That's a big bummer about the sequel trilogy. But here, the piece that Neo made at the end of the movie mattered. It mattered in a big way. And I love that. I love that Neo has that moment where he's like, I feel like
it's bad. It's worse.
I feel like I did it for nothing. I feel like everything's junk. And they're like, no. Everything is really good.
Let me show you Sabebe and Kujaku
and strawberries.
And strawberries. Yeah. Strawberries with like also one of the coolest ideas like in a sci-fi movie of having programs become physical in the real world through like nanomachines. that's a brilliantly cool idea that I
Mhm.
don't know if I've seen before in that kind of way. It's awesome.
So one of the things I also really love about this movie is the fact that it shows you a glimpse of the future, but it's not like, but okay, bad analogy. Ready Player 2. That takes place in about a year and a half later after the first book. Things just go from bad to worse. This one is like, yo, things aren't the best, but things have gotten so much better than they were. We have partnerships with the machines. We're friends with them. We can make foods that we haven't eaten in X amount of hundreds of years, possibly. Here's a freaking strawberry. That strawberry scene, I was like, oh, damn, look at you.
Yeah,
all.
they have a moment where they're just like, "How would you make this?" Well, we managed to figure out how to make the code of a strawberry that's in the Matrix manifested into like a seed, so we could grow strawberries. I'm like, whoa, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Like, and also one of my biggest things I was like kind of was the fact that Lawrence Fishburne wasn't in the movie. I was really bummed. I was like, no offense to Yahya Abdul-Mateen, I absolutely love him in this movie. And then when we get to the scene in not Zion but Zion 2, I forgot. Io, thank you.
It's the opposite of Zero One.
But when we get to Io and we see a statue and we see old Niobe, I'm like, okay, makes sense. And then the new and Yahya Abdul is essentially Morpheus, but it's not a digitized Morpheus, but he's taking up the name because he also stands for what Morpheus stands for.
More than that, but Sparks, what were you saying? What were you going to say?
So I think that it was really a wise choice to pick Niobe instead of Morpheus to be the leader in Io, because the thing is, and I think that this is very, very true. If Morpheus is the leader when Neo gets there, he will do whatever Neo wants to do.
Yeah.
There will be no pushback. And then it's just, okay, so there's no conflict. There's no, I will mount all the forces of Io to do whatever Neo wants to do, even if that's maybe unwise. But it keeps the stakes low and personal for this film, which is weird for a sequel, but it's true. The stakes are lower and personal because really what's at stake isn't the civilization of humanity or what Io has constructed. All that's at stake is Neo and Trinity's freedom. That's it. That's all that's at stake. There's nothing else that they're fighting.
Yeah, because like that's why Niobe is so against it. Because like, hey, we're at peace now. If you go do this thing, you're gonna f everything I've built for.
But importantly, Niobe becomes a representation of a mentality that we're seeing a lot of like social pushback on right now, which is the mentality of I got mine, forget everybody else who comes after me. Because Niobe, while they used to pull people out of who were feeling like the red pill and wanted to come out of the Matrix, Niobe's pretty much shutting the door. Bugs has a line where they acknowledge that that's what Niobe has done. Niobe's like, we're kind of done. Like, we've pulled everybody out. We're going to pull out.
Yeah.
Now we're just making civilization work because we're not going to fight. We're not going to push it with the machines anymore.
I love that character choice. And it's so good for Niobe because
you wouldn't get it with Morpheus.
And you wouldn't get it with Morpheus because he'd be like, oh my God, the guy that I worshipped my entire life.
Well, that's one of the things that I really like about Morpheus. Not posthumously Morpheus, but like the idea that he was so unwilling to waver from the fact that what Neo did could be undone. That he was just like, no, Neo, he did it. That's the end of the revolutions. He did it. Like the fact that he just couldn't budge. That's what caused Zion. That's what ultimately ended Zion. Is such an interesting poetic moment.
Yeah,
because like
and Niobe, like you said, Niobe saw the writing on the wall. Like, no, the Oracle told us something worse is coming. Then she's just gone. There's a machine civil war. Something's worse is coming. We need to figure something out.
And Morpheus in charge, we would not have gotten Io in the way that it is. And Morpheus, because he's anti-machine. He wouldn't see past it.
And Morpheus would need to be cleared out because Morpheus would be the one person who would never stop until he found Neo.
Yeah.
So it really does work for me that Lawrence Fishburne isn't there in that capacity. Yeah. And it works for me that Lawrence Fishburne isn't there for the modal program of Morpheus that's created.
Because he's not just Morpheus, he's also Agent Smith.
So that part gets a little funky.
I'm confused by that part, to be honest.
So here's the thing. I really like Mateen in this role. Yeah. I like the idea of this Morpheus program that's not real Morpheus, but is Neo's perception of Morpheus manifested to save himself.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. It's very clever. It's a very good way for Neo to have subconsciously created a way for him to escape the Matrix.
Yeah.
I think that's very, very smart and wise. My thing about it is that when they make that explanation that he is a combination of the two men who made Neo, Morpheus and Smith, I wish that there was something more in his character that represented Smith.
He's not,
but
he's so funny.
He's so
like,
he's so much more in like a fun Morpheus direction without any of that lingering Smith stuff once he read pills.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, okay, I guess he's an amalgamation of those two people, but kind of not. That part I felt was a little unclear, which really just comes down to I wish that they had done a little more to give him something a little Smith in him. Maybe a little bit weirder of a relationship with Neo.
Yeah.
I feel that way about Groff.
So I don't feel as weird about Groff because Groff literally is Smith.
Yeah.
And I feel like it works okay there, and it's not bothering me.
What I kind of like to elaborate on that moment, like I agree with what you're saying about Abdul Mateen, but I have the same issue with Groff. When Groff is activated to be Smith, like when he got when he gets activated, when Smith is activated, he keeps calling him Tom, and there's like nothing of Hugo Weaving's performance in Jonathan Groff. There's a disconnect to the character. While I like what they do with the character, I wish he kind of leaned into a little bit more of the Hugo Weaving mannerisms. Maybe not all the way, but like in a sense, kind of keep it there when he's activated. So when he knows that he's Agent Smith.
Yeah, I get that too. I think that there are moments where he does lean into it. I like that because he is a program and he's been reprogrammed into the Matrix, even though he is still Smith. He's a new program version of Smith. So like him calling him Tom, there's a different sensibility to him and history. And that works for me more than necessarily like the way they describe how Morpheus is supposed to function as like an amalgamation of the two. Because that feels like he should be pulling from personality traits that Neo manifested of them into the thing. But I think that Groff does a good job of having his moments where a little bit of that Hugo Weavingness comes forward. Ultimately, my whole thing is that like I didn't want to see Bane 2.0.
Yeah.
I didn't want to see that performance again. And that's kind of why I'm glad that I feel like I recognize that this is Smith. There's enough there.
The first line he says, it's very clearly like, the oblivious thing. Like that's Smith.
Where he's saying the same line, but like I wish I remembered the line, but there's a specific moment when they're doing the exchange right before the Merovingian shows up, where he says something and it has the exact same cadence of Hugo Weaving, and it's there, but he's not doing an impression. And I am glad that it didn't turn into a Hugo Weaving impression because at that point, just have Hugo Weaving, which is what they wanted to do, but scheduling didn't allow.
Yeah,
right. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of upset. It's unfortunate we couldn't get Hugo Weaving, but like for me, I don't want him to be doing an impression. I just wanted more. And for you're saying that what they do is enough, but for me, I don't think it was. I just wanted him to just do a little bit more to kind of keep it going, like because he's unrecognizable as Agent Smith outside of dialogue for me.
I will say like I enjoy Jonathan Groff as Smith. I think he is slightly unnecessary to the film.
Yes,
and while I enjoy his presence, the only thing I really, really like about it is the fact that like he is the thing that helps free Neo and Trinity. Yeah. Which is kind of a cool like ultimate come around on that character. Yeah. But that's like a Goku Frieza moment. But like other than that, I don't feel like he needed to be there. I don't think the purpose of why the analyst would restore him is very well explained. It feels like that's just running another risk of a thing that could wake Neo up.
Yeah.
I really like tried to grab it and pay attention to it, that like it has something to do with their balance to each other that he also used as something to help confine Neo and fuel the Matrix. Like there's almost a sense of like Neo won't stray too far from wherever Smith is because he feels a latent responsibility to be where Smith is because he has to kind of like police him.
Well, that's what they call it. That's what they call it. It's like a chain.
Yeah, I think he's almost like he was like unknowingly he's like his bodyguard in a way.
Yeah. And like I guess I kind of get that, but that ultimately feels like it flies in the face of everything the analyst says he's doing because he says his whole thing is about feelings and fictions. That sounds like him balancing an equation still, which is like I just like, aren't you running a greater risk by having Smith in there to begin with? Why would you want that kind of program running?
Right, especially because you already have a handler program for Neo that's doing a fine job. I kind of realized it the second time over what you're talking about, Sparks. The second time I watched it, I kind of realized that, like, there's a moment when right before the Merovingian shows up where he talks to Neo, is like, in order for me to be free, I've got to kill you or whatever. Or I can't stop. There's something he's there. There's some conflict that he's there for. But at the end of the film, he's like, I was freed when Neo was freed. I was like, that already happened by the time the Merovingian thing showed up.
So what he says is what he wants to do is he wants to go after the analyst. He wants to punish him for imprisoning him, for chaining him up.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he says, I need to go do that. Just stay out of my way. That's what he says.
Yeah.
He's like, he's not after Neo at all. And Neo says, I just got to get Trinity. I don't want to fight you either. And he's like, but that's the problem. See, if you go to him, then he gets you. He knows you're going to go there. And when he gets you, he resets everything. And I go back to being chained. And he doesn't want that. And Neo says, well, that sounds like conflict.
Yeah.
And so then they have to fight. So that's why that happens. But his goal is just to punish the analyst.
Mm-hmm. I feel like he could have been working together.
Yeah, I want to talk about Jonathan Groff real quick because
then they ultimately do, right?
They do at the end.
That's the whole thing, is that he's like, I guess I'll just interfere because he's about to lose. That's the whole reason Smith shows up when he does. He's about to lose. They're going to hold Neo and Trinity. They're going to make it so that they can't reconnect with each other and blow the Matrix apart. So he's like, no, I interfere because I'm in trouble of being imprisoned.
He is in this movie kind of just like a chaos agent, Smith. Which I like.
It's fun. I like that.
Honestly. Yeah. It does feel like he is like, if you did take him out of the movie, not much would change. But I do like Jonathan Groff because there was a line where it's like, like they gave me like a new body. He's like, he's new hot Smith. So for me, him not being like exactly as like not even the mannerisms, but like as like stoic made sense to me. And I think Tom actually works as like, he's still calling him like by his first name. Like he's still like disrespectful and instead of calling him by his real name.
Right.
He's just more fly about it because he's more of like a cool business guy.
Yes.
So that aspect did work for me. Also, I just like seeing Jonathan Groff on screen. I think he's fun.
I liked it too.
Yeah.
I love Gita Jackson's assessment from Waypoint of this movie's really just about two gay guys who are mad at each other because Neo doesn't love them the most.
That's true. Yeah.
The handler programs for Trinity is I believe one of the directors of John Wick.
It's Chad Stahelski.
Yes, Chad Stahelski is the director of John Wick.
Also
Neo stuntman for the earlier Matrix films. Handsome Chad.
He's handsome and he's talented.
Real quick, Pi said in the comments that he enjoyed that this film portrayed more optimism and reason to hope.
Yeah.
So I agree.
That's one thing that I love about this movie, and like the thing. So when they get up to after like the big bicycle chase and the suicide swarmers, which is crazy. I think that's a cool new aspect of having like swarms, having like bots instead of expelling the energy to take over people, you just put a bunch of bots everywhere.
Right.
I thought that the ending, I thought they were gonna die, and that was like, even though it's sad, it is their happy ending the way they wanted to go out when they were jumping off the building, and I was like, I was crying for sure, thinking like we can't go back, and then like they would just die and like the Matrix would be over, and that would be their happy ending the way they wanted. I'm like, God, it sucks. But it works. And then she started flying. I'm like, okay.
Can I tell you? So one of my favorite beats of this whole movie is when they get to the rooftop and Trinity sees the sun and she says beautiful.
Yeah.
But the reason she's saying beautiful is because Trinity has seen the real sun,
Mm-hmm.
the only person in the world who has seen the real sun. And because she's seeing a fake sunrise, she sees the code. And when she sees the code, she's able to access.
And she's
the
breathing
source.
in and out, and like the code's going around her, and like the birds.
Yes.
Very, very pretty.
I love that.
Cool.
I love that as a callback to that moment, because I think that moment's so pretty in Revolutions, and that it's like, because Trinity has seen the real sun, Trinity can now see through the code.
Okay, so before we talk about all the positive stuff with the emotions, I do want to talk about some of my negatives.
Well, you brought up Trinity. You brought up Trinity. I want to mention one thing about Sparks. You were talking about the sunrise. Similarly to what you're talking about with the sunrise, and to what Ryan said, with like the cheering when Trinity flew. When they reconnect in the coffee shop was the moment in the theater where I almost elbowed my seatmates because I wanted to cheer so badly, because that was such an incredible moment, from the moment where she says, my name's Trinity, you son of a bitch, or whatever, and then the two of them being like pulled away as they're trying to reach each other. Tears. Loved it.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of Renaissance kind of looking art moments. That's one of them, like them being pulled away from each other by all the police. It's almost like a Renaissance painting moment. There's the moment where Neo's stepping off the balcony and you have all the people like reaching for him, crying behind him. That's almost very Renaissance-y. A lot of very interesting framing bits like that.
I'll be positive for one more second. Because it's probably like it might like one of my favorite shots in the movie, but like when they're jacking in Trinity into Bugs,
and
then it's like the trifecta of Bugs Trinity, and like they're interspliced between fighting, and it's like Jessica Henwick's screams are so guttural, and I'm like, dude, this is so freaking cool. Oh my god, it's so cool. It's unfortunate that I feel like most of the action in the rest of the movie is pretty bad.
So you brought up the action. That is my biggest negative. And I know, like, you know, that's not the type of movie she wanted to make. Totally get that. Appreciate that. Love this movie.
Yeah.
But there is a sense that The Matrix was a cut above action films and has been since.
Yeah.
So like you do come to the movie expecting that there will be, and because like Jessica Henwick talks like, we choreographed this whole thing, like they hit like 10 hours of footage of this fight. Keanu Reeves is still an accomplished martial artist. And like you cut that stuff to ribbons and then you shake it with the Bourne cam, and I'm like, this is disappointing. This is disappointing.
All, I'm glad I'm not the one who feels that. I'm glad because like it's just, again, like those Matrix movies were every single shot was storyboarded, you know, like digital, like they put so much effort. And not that saying that this is an effortless movie, that's not what I'm saying, but like clearly the action wasn't the forefront thought of this movie, which is fine. I would rather take the emotion over it.
Yes.
I don't like watching a Matrix movie that I think has bad action in it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it just kind of bums me out. There's like, and I've watched the scenes multiple times and be like, is it just me? Like, because I've watched so many good action movies the last couple of weeks, and I'm like, no, this is kind of shot kind of poor.
I will say, I think the biggest offender of it is the warehouse fight between the Merovingians rejects and the Matrix people.
Yeah.
Because I do still like the Yahya Abdul-Mateen Keanu Reeves fight. I think that fight works.
Oh yeah, that's just straight up martial arts.
I think that fight works. I think the very end of that Merovingian fight with Keanu and Groff in the bottom.
Yeah,
that's all fine.
All the single
that
stuff
totally
is
works
fine.
for me because the whole point is that like the reason that fight works for me is because it doesn't need, like, all the moves are good enough for what it's doing, because the whole point is that Neo doesn't want to fight anymore.
Which is what I love. His power is to defend.
Yes, I love that. I love that his power is just get away from me because Neo is done fighting. I also love the Trinity's action. Trinity's action when she wakes up at the end, both with the bug stuff and just individual of that. And I think the action scene of the chase is very good.
Yeah.
But I agree about like the train,
the big
Merovingian
multi-people fight.
The Merovingian gang fighting with the crew of the ship is like, if you just focused on only Neo and Smith and I just like came back to them and they'd beaten those people up, I'd be like, that's fine. Because I just don't, I'm fine. Like that's not the focus, and it's not being. I agree. Like Lana has talked about their way that their filmmaking has evolved, and like what used to be important to them, and like how like mathematical the Matrix was designed and very like clear cut and storyboarded every beat, and that's just not their approach in general to films, and so it wasn't going to be them like manufacturing that approach into this movie. And I totally get that, and I agree. Like, I wish that the action was something you could sing the praises of, because that's what you do with Matrix movies. Like, that's very commonplace of what's expected of it, and that's just not what this movie is. And it's like, it kind of is a bummer.
And again, like, I don't like. I'm not a filmmaker. I couldn't do any better. But like, I specifically that Merovingian fight. I think it's bad. I think it's hard to look at. Like, it feels like early Chris Nolan, like
the train fight is awful.
It's so close. Yeah, it is. Like, I was like
close.
Yeah,
I agree on those counts. And the only thing that I can say in defense of it is that, like, I'm glad that it's not the movie's focus, and I'm glad that there aren't that many action scenes in the movie to begin with.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like the movie is trying to fill a quota of something it was never going to achieve anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that like those things that aren't good about it are sparingly brief.
Well, that's what I was going to get to. That's what I was trying to get at, which is the idea that like it's not something that that like actively hurts my enjoyment of the film. It is the only explanation, the only word that describes it is a bummer.
Yeah.
That's really all it comes down to. It's not necessarily me saying like this movie is bad because the action's bad. It's just like, oh, that's hum.
Yeah. The positives like enormously outweigh like the bad action scenes, because like everything else I really enjoy. Like, and even there are still some really good action scenes. It's just like the big ones that used to be so cool just don't have focus anymore, which is fine.
What I appreciate is that the film doesn't feel like it's structured around action beats.
Yes.
Which I feel like Reloaded in particular suffers a lot from, where it feels like it's structured around action beats to a degree to its detriment for the consideration of the story it's telling. Whereas this one, I'm glad that from every single step of the way, it felt like you knew this wasn't the focus, and therefore telegraphing to the audience, like, don't focus on this a lot.
Yeah.
This is not important. Your main character knows this isn't important. One of my favorite things about this movie, that since we're talking about that, is that Neo and Trinity don't use guns, and I love that.
Me too.
I just really love that.
So many people don't like that Keanu is defensive, and I'm like, you guys are just not reading the movie.
Also, people have been mad that Neo didn't use guns in this movie, and I'm like, he hasn't used guns since The Matrix.
Bro, he's Superman.
He
doesn't need them.
Since then, he doesn't need them. He did it.
You're right. He doesn't use any guns since The Matrix.
He uses the big axe.
Right. So people are mad that he doesn't, and I'm like, I get it with Trinity. Like, Trinity's always used guns, and now Trinity doesn't, and I'm like, they don't need to, and it's not important. That's not the point of this.
Yeah. That's what I like about like the new force push power that Keanu distributes in this film. You know, it's like he didn't have that power in the first. Who cares? It's a different Matrix, different code. Also, he did just didn't use it a lot, because the idea that he's just tired of fighting. I don't want to fight. I just want Trinity. That's all I want. Just give me Trinity.
Exactly, and that's the movie, and I'm really grateful that that's the movie is what you're getting. And in tandem with that, I'm really grateful nobody dies in this movie.
Me too.
I love that. Oh yeah, nobody dies. None of the crew dies.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I don't think you need to kill any of them. No. I think it's wonderful that everybody got out alive. I didn't need anybody to die in this movie. I'm very content and pleased that nobody did.
Yeah. I really like Jessica Henwick in this.
I love her in this.
I'm so glad she was in this instead of Shang-Chi.
I love the whole crew, specifically her,
Sequoia,
and Sequoia.
That guy's cool.
And then I need to look up her
There's
name.
Lexi, who has all the tattoos.
Lexi and Bugs, who have a coded queer relationship going on. And then
you have the guy who's a neologist.
The other guy who's a neologist and is into just everybody.
He loves beards.
But especially he's like nervous about not being attracted to Neo anymore. He's like, the beard, the hair, it's really doing it for me.
Yeah, I like the crew. Like, just like Matrix 1, like you get just enough where you like everyone. You're like, if they ever made more, like, oh, I'd like to see this character.
You got the other captain, I forget his name, but he's the guy who asked Neo, hey, could you really fly? Like, it's weird to meet a legend.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of guy. Like, everybody's just great. Like, it's very nice because it feels like it reinforces that, like, by the way, this is a time of peace. These people are good people living like a good life in humanity, and they're just trying to help Neo get Trinity back. And I'm really glad that the movie ends without anybody being punished for that.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the new characters. I really love how they've coded this new Matrix, how they can hack into it. Like, they have this like projector inside the Matrix where you see the guy.
Oh, like a digital projection.
It's such a nice change to have the reader be there.
How do the mirrors work?
Reading the code of the Matrix.
How do the mirrors work?
So it appears that they can go through just any reflective glass is now how they can escape the Matrix. Rather than
but they gotta hack it. Like, he talks about, like, we hacked this mirror.
Okay. I guess I just like missed the part where like I know why you're doing the phone thing, but like, how are you?
Do you know why?
I don't care.
Running into a reflective surface is a lot cooler than just putting a phone to your head.
It's pretty cool. And like the idea of like the mirror will get bigger as you get closer. Like, that one's kind of like silly.
Oh my god, the scene where he goes to the mirror and you just see him reaching out for the pod is so good.
Yeah, I really love that one.
It's so good.
I like the barrier of like, this is a science fiction movie, but like love is as powerful as like science fiction is fun, because like as Neo is getting taken away, Trinity's hand rises up.
Yes.
Like, again, like they are connected like magnetically. That's how powerful their love is. And that's the kind of thing where like, man, like it's really bold again to make this like this action franchise just focus on like, no, we just want them to be happy together.
And again, like, it's one of those things where because we did directly revisit these films, and like there are other people that did, and I don't get how you don't see it. Like, Neo and Trinity being in love has always been the thing from beat one of the Matrix. The fact she kisses him to bring him back to life in the Matrix. That's what happens. He is a Snow White story within the Matrix. That's what happens.
I think another aspect of it is, and this is like definitely like what type of person you are. Like, I just don't think some people want this type of Matrix movie.
Yeah.
And like, I think that's fair. I really think it's fair.
Sure.
Like, you know, it's this thing of like, how much does like an audience own the franchise and that kind of thing. And like, I personally am always excited for the person who made it to continue on however they want, whether I like it or not. Again, like, this is very much a Last Jedi situation where like we are doing something fundamentally different that not a lot of people would think to do.
Or even more accurately, this is the prequels. It's just, I like this.
Yes, I like this.
I like all of this a lot.
Yeah. I love the world building so much. Like, I can't tell you how bad if we don't get any more Matrix stuff about the 60 years of the machine civil war. Like, give me a Niobe like comic that like when she's like 50, like when all that shit happened. Like, I will read that instantly.
Yeah, I was so moved throughout the whole movie by the like as having rewatched those previous 3 films and like further and further zeroing in on Neo and Trinity are what I really enjoy about these films. Neo and Trinity being in love as the core thing. The fact that the analyst literally in this film calls out like it was never just you. It was you and her. The Oracle knew it.
So
the Oracle,
smart too.
The Oracle did what she did because she knew it changed everything. It was you two together.
Yeah.
And the fact that like they play that off in this film makes me so immensely happy. And I guess like if you're a person who just that didn't appeal to you, I do get it. Like I get wanting a particular kind of Matrix movie.
Yeah.
I'm just so grateful that this is the Matrix movie we ended up with.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Sati makes a wonderful appearance again by Priyanka Jonas.
That's maybe one of my negatives, and it's very minor.
It's not. I'm indifferent.
No. My whole thing is that what bothers me is we basically just like completely change what Sati's father was from his original. Okay, so like he was the waste management program for the power plant.
Yeah.
Inside of the Matrix. In Revolutions. Now he's the guy who designed the pods that were used to resurrect Neo and Trinity, and I'm like, oh,
big upgrade.
Like, and that just felt like. I mean, she could have just done it because, like, her dad thought Neo was nice.
Yeah, we didn't
like
need the
he didn't need to have been murdered because he made the pods.
Yeah. Like for real, it could have just been like Sati's like you know, I've been doing my best to try to help from the outside. Like they didn't need to bring up the dad stuff whatsoever.
Yeah, I just thought like his dad was a totally fine character as was. Like I didn't think we needed to make a Death Star.
I still think
engineer out of him.
The real world to Matrix hijack of brain stuff is radical.
Yeah,
that is such a cool idea.
The whole escape of taking Trinity out of her pod, getting Trinity out of her pod, and going in through the Neo's pod, and then going out through this giant this waste disposal sequence that was clearly there to be like, oh, they woke up, dump.
And Morpheus being like ball man doing stuff.
It's such a cool action sequence. I loved it.
Yeah,
very cool heist.
Sentinels look just as good as ever.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
The film is shot really beautifully. One of my favorite shots is in the moment we're just talking about where they pull Trinity up out of the goo. It's got like a lot of great blue light on her, but you see the red of the machine that's holding her back. Like it's just a really pretty movie to look at. The Matrix until the end is kind of like a bright like San Francisco-esque looking place. At the end, when it's about to get restarted, the green tint returns at the Simulate. If I don't know if you guys noticed that. Yes, I did notice that.
It goes back to it for the final images. I'm that's really nice.
Because the machines are going to reboot the Matrix to its previous version.
Yeah, get everyone out.
So the first time I watched it, I was weirded out for a moment, and then I caught up with myself. But I think there's something weird in the structure of like how Smith exits this movie, because after Smith wins, he's like, what's the difference between us is anybody could have been you. Whereas I can be anybody. And then he changes into another person.
Yeah.
Then the bots come in, but the bots were called by the analyst. But for a moment, I'm like, wait, did Smith just re-pull a Smith? Is this Smith just attacking them? And I had to like restructure my brain and be like, no, the analyst called the bots.
He just left the body. So like
it was just a weird exit for Smith that didn't totally jive with me.
He's kind of like not pointless to the movie, but like they clearly wrote him in because he had to be in there. Like I guess he just leaves now.
But again, if you're not getting Hugo Weaving, maybe don't put him in there.
Well, my other thing is like him written in this way to be this person who plays the role, unless the role would have been drastically different. I like Groff better for the casting of this role of this producer in this video game company than Hugo Weaving. It's very hard for me to picture him as that persona.
Would it be if it didn't change whatsoever? Would it be Hugo Weaving being like, Tom, I'm handsome? Like, would it wouldn't be?
Well, it wouldn't be that, but like I'm just talking like the role he plays in the sense of the company as his boss, and that kind of thing. Like I feel like that wouldn't quite have the same energy for the modern sensibility of what it's doing that I think Groff is able to do, because frankly, just because he's younger.
I think the younger thing
I really do think that's important. I think it's important that Jonathan Groff's Smith character is a younger person than Thomas Anderson in the context of the Matrix thing that it's constructing, where his boss is younger than him. I think it is very important for the sense of that creative and adult isolation that Thomas is being put through.
Yeah.
That his boss is a younger, doesn't quite get it, role in his life. And Hugo Weaving wouldn't be able to do that because he's not young.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if he just had a different type of role in the movie.
Yeah. Right, and like I'm open to that, but like this particular thing, I like that, and I like that discrepancy between them in the context of like the meta narrative of what it creates at the game company.
There's a sweet little Christina Ricci cameo for 30 seconds.
Love her.
So fun.
There's also Martha Jones, guys.
That's Martha Jones. It was I didn't recognize her the first time, and then at the glasses,
From Doctor Who.
She's one of the people in like the round table talking about what the Matrix means to people.
Doctor.
Oh,
she was the third season companion in Doctor Who
for David Tennant's Doctor.
Okay.
Yep.
Where do you guys land on the bullet time slow mo?
Love it.
I like it.
I don't have a problem with it. I think it looks like off, kind of like on purpose. Like it's off.
He's filmed at a different frame rate than Keanu is, and I think that works.
I think it's supposed to be like unnerving. Like it's not supposed to look natural. Like people are saying like it looks awesome. Like I think it's supposed to look like that, like on purpose. Like like it's supposed to be uneasy.
There's the people who talk about like the thing that baffles me crazy, since we've already brought up. I try not to do this too often, but like the thing that drives me crazy about the criticisms of like this is bad on purpose. No, it's not. It's also not bad. Just like I don't think that sequence looks bad on purpose. I think it's just it's supposed to, like you said, unsettle you. It's there to unsettle you because you're supposed to feel like anything is possible at this moment, and he is hopeless.
And you're seeing like more of Neil Patrick Harris than you're ever supposed to see in real life. Like,
I think they do a very smart thing of like when he makes the comparison of like nightmares are just us maximizing your output. It works just like this. If only I could catch the bullet. And I'm like, everybody knows that exact feeling that you are just now telling us. That's what he's experiencing. Mm-hmm. It's that I can't quite do it, but I should be able to do it moment. I thought that worked totally fine.
Yeah.
I do think there is a discrepancy between people associating with like this is bad on purpose and this is unimportant on purpose. Mm-hmm. This is framed in a way where it's not relevant. This is more in terms of the action. But I think that people are missing that distinction.
Yeah.
Sabebe is fantastic. I know you brought Sabebe.
I just love all the droids.
I love Sabebe.
All the droids are great.
I have no problem with the fist bumping droid, although some people do.
Luminate.
Yeah.
He definitely feels like the most like Transformers-y, like
people are like Star Wars prequels right here, and I'm like, I guess. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
I really like how Neo is able to fully accept like Sabebe. Like
it's another one of my favorite moments, him and Sabebe coming together.
He's like, can I because when they're like, this is the thing. He's like, okay, can I ask it a question?
Yep, because that's what Neo was always about. Neo was always like, not always, but that's what Neo became about, right? In Revolutions, is that he understood that the machines weren't just all bad things.
And then got Kujaku, which is like the bird robot. I need more history of like Sentinels, like the robots evolved after the war ended, after the peace. Like, like the new ones don't have to be monsters anymore. We can look like beautiful birds. We can look like Articuno robots.
Right.
Like, I'll take it. I think that's awesome.
We don't have to look like terrifying crab squids anymore. That'd be great.
I really like the idea. Like, I always kind of figured it because when we see in the first Matrix, I believe it is, there's a lot of robots walking around the pods and the fetus farm or whatever they call it.
The energy
And
collectors and stuff.
I always thought that like every single one of those machines that we see is the equivalent of a person in the Matrix.
Yeah.
So that's actually not totally true. If you dig into the lore, a lot there are ones that are sentient, that are like the programs, but there's also ones that are just drones.
Yeah.
And they're just drones, and they're like radio controlled things. The ones that they throw like bombs, drones, not programs. They don't.
That's why they call them. That's why they call them. They call them sentients in this movie, right?
Synthients. So like the programs and other machines are now called synthients, the ones that want to be recognized in that way. But it is an important distinction that like the Sentinels are actually drones. Mm-hmm. They are not. They don't have consciousness. They function like a radio transmitter and a tool for the machines. They are not themselves their own like feeling and emotion kind of thing.
At any rate, I appreciated that we kind of dug more into that in this movie.
Yeah, I agree completely. I was grateful to learn that was a part of the lore, because it made me feel like there's a clear distinction of like what is a living being within a machine and what is not, even to the machines themselves.
Yeah. That cool French robot who loved to make strawberries.
Yeah,
cool. I love the idea. Like machine, human, civilization. That's so cool.
We danced around it earlier, but how did you guys feel about the Merovingians cameo?
Took me a while to recognize him.
I'm not about it.
I wouldn't even mind him, but I also think his speech. It's the only time in the movie where I'm like the sequel reboot. I'm like, this is a little too much for what you're saying. Everything else was fine. This was too far.
So I feel very much the same way. I do find it interesting that the Merovingian scene is the proof positive that people go to when it's like, this is why the movie's making fun of sequels and this whole movie shouldn't exist or whatever. Like they use that much like they use TLJ when The Last Jedi, when Ben Solo says, "Let the past die." Like that's the bad guy. That's not the thesis of the movie. That's the bad guy having a misunderstanding of the thesis of the movie. The Merovingian wants his Matrix back.
Yeah, he's literally saying like the world used to be better. He's an old man.
I get that. I think the biggest part for me, honestly, that doesn't work for me is the way that it's filmed.
Yeah.
Where like I can feel that he wasn't there with everybody else.
It is 100% he filmed on a different day. He was not there.
And he's a weird cutaway cameo, and like the only amount I enjoy his appearance really is for the moment when Neo sees him and he goes, "Oh God, that guy." Yeah. And like beyond that, I'm kind of like, I don't care. And I think the worst egregious thing about this is that you go out of your way to bring back the Merovingians exiles, and Smith being like, "I found some old friends,"
and they're not werewolves,
and they're not
or
werewolves
vampires.
or ghosts or
they're
vampires.
Just like dudes from like the Lion King musical or something. Like,
that was
the only part of the movie where I'm like, oh man. Oh man!
Yeah. I think Sam's absolutely right. The really only good part about that sequence is just sees the Merovingian. Oh God!
Yeah, like I had a peak of interest when he showed up, and then he just started spouting words, and I'm like, first of all, I don't know what you're saying, so thank God I had subtitles on. Because like, if you were just watching that, I'm like, you get half. Oh yeah, like specifically, he's like Mark Zuckerface and Wikipedia shits, and I'm like, that just sounds like an old person out of touch, to be honest. Like Mark Zuck, like Facebook has nothing to do with like the Matrix. Like that is strictly just like old man writing a script.
Yeah, I mean, but like, cut him out. Don't need him. You don't need him.
Yeah,
I think like that exact concept was like visually told to us of an assessment of like make you think about it when Neo's in the elevator in the montage and he looks up and he sees everybody on their phones around him.
Yeah.
I thought that was like, we've got it. Like there's plenty there for us to dig into that like is good commentary on how we engage with the internet, which is a great thing. Like I don't think we talked about it enough, frankly, in like our long conversations about the Matrix, how important it was that the Matrix was at the real like cresting point of the internet becoming what the internet is now. And it didn't know. And so it was like creating hypotheses, like while the Matrix is like its own thing about like representing philosophy and how we engage with like the sense of ourselves, it was also like a conversation about like, we don't know what the future of the digital age is going to be in the wake of the internet. And now Resurrections lives in that thing where we do know, and being a good commentary on how that's affected us and how that's changed us and what we need to value in the heart of that, which was always intimacy and personal touch and love.
Yeah, there's a sense in that montage that I really love. The idea of like, you know, because the Matrix is imperfect, he keeps taking these blue pills because to make the analyst like, yeah, you're not going to notice because if you stop taking these, you're gonna notice that this isn't perfect and that you're in the Matrix, and I cannot have that.
Right. I love his glasses, the analyst glasses.
Me too.
Oh, yeah,
I like when he throws them away when he's just like,
yeah.
So I love the reveal when Neil Patrick Harris turns out to be the analyst and the main villain of the movie.
I clocked it. I clocked it when he showed up in the mirror in the opera house.
Oh,
like,
yeah. You're having a traumatic episode, Tom, and he's trying to grab him and pull him through.
Because I was like, because it's funny because it like feels like an early warning system for the analyst to just have a mirror and he's just walking by. He's like, oh no, I'm about to be found out.
But when he like finally comes out as total bad guy, I really love that scene. Also, my favorite part of the movie is when Trinity says, "Stop calling me that effing name. My name is Trillian. That's not my effing name. My name is Trinity." And she starts kicking ass and taking names.
Yeah. Man. Yeah.
Trinity... She still gets her Ducati, which makes me happy that she still gets her Ducati.
She's still a bike lady. Yeah. It's cool because like initially you could see like, okay, like Trinity is not going to be in the movie a lot, so I was kind of worried before we got to like more of it. But by the time we get to the end, like, them just sitting down talking is like so freaking good and like powerful, and like watching that scene like multiple times. This has my favorite score of all the Matrix movies, by the way. If you guys
it's very good.
It's even the movie doesn't even do it justice because people are talking over it a lot. But like if you listen to the score on Spotify, it is stunning. It is truly like, especially their theme, like Neo and Trinity have a love theme, just like Will and Elizabeth. That is just as good, I think. If like it is so powerful.
So I kind of want to touch on this because I was watching. You probably watched this too at some point. Lana Wachowski's interview, like the main one that they did about this film, and that this is the composer who comes from Cloud Atlas and everything. The way that they work is different from how most composers work, which is that they cut the film and then the composer matches it to the final cut of the film. They are in conversation with the music for the edit, so they are also deciding the edit of the film to go with the music rather than having it only be a one-way chain. It's a conversation between the artists of like, maybe if we make this cut here, then the music can come in on this beat.
It's true collaboration.
Yes, exactly. And like that's one of the reasons why Cloud Atlas has such a fantastic score to match its film, and this has such a fantastic score to match its film.
Yeah, the high strings are just beautiful, and like at the very, very top of the rooftop, like when she's like, "This is where my dream ended," and I'm like, "Oh my god, they're about to kill themselves, and that's their happy ending. This is awful." And then they don't.
You brought up the coffee scene. I want to talk a bit about the scene. The two when they're having a cup of coffee together, the tiniest cups of coffee you've ever seen in your life. When they're having the coffees together, it's a very good scene. It's very well paced. It's very well shot. It's seeing like having this conversation of like, you both know there's something here, but you can't quite place it because that's what this Matrix is doing to you. It's making it just out of reach.
A really nice touch I clocked the second watch through is that Thomas Anderson Neo has I don't want dead name him. Neo has a alert on his phone for when he knows Tiffany will go to the coffee shop.
Yeah, it's almost stalker status.
And it's not labeled that way, but like that's what happens. And then he's like, I need to go get coffee. And I'm like, oh man, that's so good.
Honestly, the second time, sorry, Ryan, real quick. The second time I watched it, I recognize how unnatural the handler programs were before we're told that's what they are. There's the bit where as soon as Neo's in the vicinity of Trinity, here comes Chad.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah. The way that they move in to handle the situation, like, okay, it's getting too much now, which is weird because Jude is also a handler but facilitates it. But it's almost like he needed to like facilitate the meeting so that a kibosh could be put on it by Chad.
He's the instigator, and
because
Chad
because that's the important thing is that they need to be kept close, but not too close.
Like get magnets, baby.
Yeah. The older reflections. Thought those were a really nice touch. Gets you thinking about like, okay, so what's up here? What's going on?
Oh, what was you brought up something interesting that I wanted to bring up. It's all gone. Okay, never mind.
I got something.
Jude is the handler. I was talking about the handlers interrupting each other, triggering a reason to keep them apart.
Oh, when they're being revived. When they're being when
more of their resurrection.
Oh yeah, literally
the resurrection, seeing the inside of their eyes and their brains, and like and when the analyst was like, we couldn't figure out your code, and then they put them together, and then that's when like things got real, and you see him using the powers in real life because
they couldn't figure out how to access the source code that was inside of Neo.
Yeah, and then they realize, oh, it's the two of them. We can hack that. It's like, but like using because the idea of like Neo and Trinity being the thing together is there. Neo's always more. If you watch the original trilogy, like Neo's always the most powerful when it comes to Trinity. And in this scene, it's no different. Like he is, when they're together, he is awake, knowing I have to protect Trinity, and like that's how he's able to use his force powers in the real world as well. I thought that was a nice touch.
They don't have that much screen time together in this like, you know, pretty long movie, but like again, those few scenes that they do interact together, the when she talks about, she tells her husband like, oh, like she looks like me, right, this girl in the game, and he laughed at her, and like that really upset her because like she secretly knows that there's something, like that's what's so good about it. Like I think this is the best Keanu's been in all these movies because like he's like both of them are pretty subdued in those other movies because they're just like they're trying to be more like subdued action movies. There's obviously love there, but like it is not like heart pounding emotion. This movie is heart pounding emotion. It is the forefront of it, and it's like it's worked so well. Like I can't believe how good Marianne Moss is with this little bit of dialogue.
That's really is kind of at the heart of the differences between this film and the trilogy, where it's like the trilogy, like the heart of the film, you know, what they had a mission statement with that film to like, you know, philosophy, philosophical musings, you know, things like that. But in this film, they don't care about that anymore. They just want to make a movie that is all love, all emotion, because that was always supposed to be the point.
Yeah.
So like this film kind of putting the final spin of like the reason why everything is different, the reason why this movie is different is because it is a love story. It is a love story of two people who desperately want to bone each other at every point, trying to get back together.
I definitely think my favorite scene in the movie, and it's near the end. It's after it's so like Neo goes to the coffee shop, and it's the ultimatum. Trinity, the analyst is going to allow Trinity to make the choice: stay in the Matrix or go with Neo. But it's up to her alone, right? And all the cops are there, the whole squad's there, and she's walking out. And like the music's playing like the and Chad Stahelski's like, Tiffany, you bitch, and I was like, damn it, Chad.
Well, when they walk in, is my whole theater kind of like oohed, like because it's the analyst. Like the analyst is playing a trick. Like he's making it so that like if they don't show up now, she's gonna turn. I'm gonna lose my thing, and so like bring in Chad. Let's go.
It's just so good, and that is probably my. It's not even like the whole action scene. I really love like the 30 seconds of Trinity and Bugs just going back and forth. It's just visually just so stimulating. It's just so cool to watch.
Yeah, I did really like that one.
Really good. I think one of my other negatives, and like I don't know how you solve it, honestly. For me, like I really like this movie, so there's not too much I would do to change this. It's just kind of a bummer that we don't get more Trinity in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I stand by that. I wish Carrie-Anne Moss got to do more.
Yeah.
Because I really love her. But I get it. Like I think the whole story kind of works the way it needs to.
Yeah.
It's just a bummer.
And it's like it's such a great ending for them, specifically like her, because like she wasn't the main character of the last movies, and now she gets to be.
Yeah.
There's not a lot you can do unless you get her out earlier. But
then there's nothing.
That's
the point of the movie.
Yeah.
Either the only other way to fix it is for Neo to be the one who's stuck and her to get out, and she has to go get him.
Yeah.
But we've done that.
Yeah, we're gonna make it a cliffhanger or something. Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, I really like the scene at the end with the analyst when they're like, we're just gonna change our Matrix. We're gonna make this our world now.
When she kicks his jaw off just the way she said she wanted to kick off Chad's.
Yeah.
There's my favorite line in this movie is when can't believe it's real, right? Real. There's that word again.
Yeah.
The analyst is maybe a little overly sexist for reasons that I don't totally click with.
A few lines make sense, but there is definitely near the end. It's just like, you
can't you control her?
Yeah, like
a lot of that kind of like,
you were such a bitch with
feel like a good little bitch.
Yes, and I'm like that last line specifically. I'm like, okay, that one's maybe too much. That was maybe too much.
I think there's just one or two too many.
Yeah, like I get you want to make him the bad guy, but like we know.
I feel like
that sexism is maybe a little strange.
Yeah.
I feel like you only needed the bit where he's like, can't you control her? Like that's all.
Yeah.
Women used to be. There's a line like when they're frozen, like women used to be so easy to control. And like that could have been the last line, and then he gets his ass kicked. But like, no, we got a couple more. Okay,
just kept going. Like they were like, what should he say? How about all of them?
Yeah. And I'm like, that's just a little strange for like a program to have.
Yeah.
Like a program that's not living in the current modern
I think they
generation,
just
that
like
it's adapted. Like
they just wanted an excuse to like cut his throat after, which I also thought maybe was a little excessive. Like he's digital, but like
cool the way that his like body falls apart in the code. I really like
that.
When
he's
the
getting
analyst
shot
gets
and
injured.
stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or of course when he gets his jaw kicked off and you see like bits of pixelated code.
Snaps it back. It's pretty
cool,
yeah. Let me think.
Looking through my notes.
Sorry. I wasn't even talking about my favorite part of the scene I was talking about. As Trinity's walking out, they're going to unplug and kill Neo. That was the plan.
Yeah.
So the music's glaring, and Sequoia goes up to walk to Neo with his robot hand to unplug him.
Yeah.
It's just so beautiful. It's so good, guys. That soundtrack is incredible. Like
I love the new neck piece.
The big boy
of him. Yeah.
Yeah, he has more plugs for everything than everyone else because obviously they added new ones because they're like, I guess we should add more to these.
Yeah. We didn't talk about swarms very much. Like that is the new enemy. Like obviously not as cool as agents, but like just having hundreds of people, just bots. Yeah. A sort of swarm mode. Excuse me.
Like he says, like that's this version of the Matrix. That's their agents. Like we just copied a bunch of people.
Just suicide bombing.
Just easier to just have them not be real people to begin with.
Yeah. It's really wild. It's like a couple's laying in bed. And then a husband just activates and jumps out the window.
Can you imagine?
Horrifying. It's like, man, this is rated R. This is like a Shyamalan movie right now.
Gosh, Shyamalan movie is a good example of this.
I mean, the suicide movies, people are dropping. Overall, like I'm like the emotions outweigh the unfortunate like anti-action that I wanted, but it doesn't bother me because that's not what the movie was trying to be.
Yeah, I've been kind of like talking in bits and pieces about it, but I just kind of want to put into like final words, like the idea of like, the code of the one of this version of the one was always two people. Kind of like having that subtext of the original trilogy be text and be the final word on this, I think is really cool and kind of like retroactively explains the trilogy, like, kind of like helps explain more why this version of the Matrix ended differently than the others. I thought that was really clever, and I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I've got some notes. I'll start blowing through some, and if you want to elaborate on it, then we can do that. I really love when Bugs is engaging with the modal, we get the key shop, reference to the key maker, which is exactly where we get the back doors that the key maker designed the keys for. I love when Mateen does...
I love her.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Great. I love her. I even love it when she says, "What's up, Doc?"
I want her to be the Iron Fist. I love when Mateen says, "I am Morpheus and I have to find Neo." I think that's a really great line, but I also think I totally understand where, like, if you are struggling to try and like really capture what this movie's saying, you are pretty much lost from that moment on. I love when he pops back up and when he's taking the red pill and he pops back up out of the door and the agent see him, they're like, "Agent Smith," and he's like, he starts laughing. I think that's a really great beat.
I really like the concept that you can free programs. Even this agent, just give them the pill and you can free them.
Yes. I think Jude as a handler has a really great like sick line where he's like, "I was raised by machines." In describing the Matrix, and I'm like dude bros have said this to Lana Wachowski for sure.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The adult sense of isolation and the lose-lose that we talked about, I think that's really, really pervasive and strong throughout this film. I think it's done really well when when he tells the analyst that he feels he's either having another breakdown again or he's living in a computer-generated prison again. And he's like, those are the things. It's one of those two things, and they're both terrible.
It's wild that he wins a game award, like an actual real, like the video game awards, a trophy, and then immediately just kill himself because he won an award.
Yes.
I'm like, man, that's your life. Like you're successful and you win an award. You're like, I gotta go. This is can't. Nope.
I need to stress again that I think the montage of the suffocating repeated conversations about the Matrix and everything tied to that, the whole White Rabbit sequence, is incredible. I think that's a genius montage sequence. I could watch that sequence all the time.
Yeah.
I think all the visuals of it, all the storytelling beats are good. The way that it's just the date, like months are going by and the same things are being talked about over and over and over again.
That song White Rabbit is also cut in a way where like certain parts loop differently. It's not the song one-to-one, and it uses it really well.
I love in that sequence when Neo is hitting the mirror and he's just laughing after he dumps the blue pills. He's just like, and I'm like, oh my god. You also get Sati appearing working in the shop there. Yep. Good use of flashbacks in general throughout this film. I think they're well paced and timed and hit those right emotional beats.
I thought that they were going, like, after a while they kind of stopped doing it, but then they come back and I'm glad, because I really like it. Is really, again, it's time, like something seeing like Trinity exit somewhere and then flashes back to a movie from 25 years ago. I'm like, oh shit, that's cool.
Yeah, the part where like she turns and you see that other moment when she turned away.
Yeah.
It's like, ugh, your heart.
I love it.
I love the coffee shop bonding between Neo and Trinity, specifically her talking about hating her husband for not respecting her, seeing herself inside of the game. Mateen is excellent. When Morpheus is bothered to be called an experiment, when he first encounters Neo, and he's like, "You wanted this. You made me for this." That's when I get a little bit of the Smith, and like that's the only scene where I feel like I get some of it. He's just like, you can't be mad that I'm here. Like, what are you doing?
I wonder how much
just shoves his arm through the mirror.
Yeah,
I'm so curious to see
that Agent Smith thing feels like something they probably should have cut if they're not going to do a lot with it.
When Groff gets the gun and awakens into Mr. Anderson, that's a great bit.
I love it.
I really love the way they visually do Deja Vu, bringing him out of the shootout into the analyst, and like it kind of melts away. Yeah.
That was so cool. The second time I watched that, I realized that like this is happening in real time. This isn't we're just seeing like the after effects. It's like the analyst is pulling him out of that fight.
Yeah,
yes, exactly. He's pulling him away. I love the genius of the new Matrix being able to acknowledge itself in a way of saying it's not real. That's the best way to be the Matrix, is to just be like, bro, what do you think? You're in the Matrix?
Yeah, the best way to destroy the Matrix is to make it boring.
Right.
That's how you win.
To make it mundane, yeah.
Make it mundane.
I think there's a great discussion with Morpheus building to him taking the pill, where he hints at the concerns there have been over not finding him. I think that's all done very well, like how they've been looking for him. They specifically, Morpheus references that some people believe that maybe he like betrayed them and was always in league with the machines. That's like there are still those dissenting discussions about the one. I think is really cool. I love the design of the chamber that's holding the two pods for Neo and Trinity. I think that's really well designed.
Me too.
I loved in general the expansion of the Machine City. We get like the big whale looking like machine kind of thing. Like there's all kinds of crazy shit.
I love the new design for their ships. How it has like part you see like the hovercraft machinery and then like part machine.
It's like a tail,
flying. Loved it.
This movie is 10 out of 10 because Bugs says, "What's up, Doc?"
I love that.
I can't believe they got away with it and it works.
It works.
Yeah.
There is that, like, again, this is specifically Morpheus says that line where he says that he's a combination of Smith and Morpheus. He's like counter programming that was more than a little crazy making. Like there's something that should be there, and I feel like it's just under explored or under characterized.
Yeah. Ultimately, though, I like him a lot. I think he's really good.
Yeah. He's fun, yeah. I
love that we get the classic Matrix music beat when Neo uses his pushback force abilities, and that's pretty much the only time we hear. But it gets the like I think that's really good. They took your story, something which meant so much to so many like me, and made it something trivial. That's the specific line from Bugs that Brandon was referencing earlier. Is a really good like. This is Bugs talking as the fans of the Matrix. Like this is who that should be appealing to. We talked about that.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to go through my notes as well. The next page is all just Matrix Online notes.
Ooh. Not all seek to control, just as not all wish to be free, is I think a great line about the sentience. This is what he's saying in response to like why the machines are free, why they're wanting to not work with the idea of what the Matrix is. He's like, not all human beings want to be free, not all machines want to be controlled.
Yeah. Or be oppressed.
There's a parallel between Zion's fall and the fall of humanity in the Animatrix that I found interesting.
Yes, I think that's really, really good. I think that the Animatrix also still adds a lot of good text even to this film.
Yeah.
I really like that Lexi is the one who adds the bit when they're saying like Bugs is saying to Neo like we don't know how to get Trinity out. Like we've kind of used our one Hail Mary pass. And then Lexi is like, yet we don't know how to get Trinity out yet.
Be positive.
Yeah. I really like that. I think that's a good beat.
The whole bit of like Neo coming back and speaking with Niobe, which we talked a little bit about, but like speaking with Niobe and having the moment with her is really, I think, really good because there's a lot of like there's a lot of like world building and character building between Niobe and Jessica Henwick, Bugs. So having the two of them, like having that history, you kind of feel that, and then like Neo is like, great, I don't want to put anybody in trouble. Give me a ship and I'll just go get her. Like, let's just do that. It's like, nope, can't compromise what we've built here. Can't compromise that. I'm sorry.
Right.
Love it.
Yeah, I love Niobe having that discussion with Neo and pointing out the silence, and that the sound design is so good that up to that point in the movie you've been getting noise all the time, so that silence really like it lands for you. It really hits.
Yeah.
I love Niobe's story. I'm so glad Jada Pinkett Smith got more in this. I'm really happy for her. I love her telling the story of how she didn't believe for years until like she kept waking up and never hearing the alarm.
Yeah.
And just every day waking up to silence, and how grateful she is to.
And it's cool because if you're somehow someone who didn't watch the Matrix movies and you're watching this, you get just enough because you see the flashbacks of her at the fall of Zion. And so you're like, I was there and like, and blah, blah, blah. So like, I know what needed to be done and stuff. And I think that's cool that they brought her back.
Yeah. Niobe being comforted by a female partner as Bugs goes away. Again, a little bit more queerness added into the film.
I'm just gonna pretend that Z
and
Link died and Z just had to hook up with her.
Oh, sure. Here's the line. It's when they're having the moment where Smith is describing what he wants and why he can't have Neo go there, and Neo says, well, that sounds like conflict. And Groff says, inevitable? Doesn't have to be. Like, he goes into the Hugo Weaving cadence for inevitable, and then goes back to what he's doing as the new version of Smith.
Right.
That was the specific. I did write that down, and I did like that a lot. God, yeah. American originality mattered.
Books used to be better. Like, yeah, okay, all right, Grandpa.
Yeah, that was the part that like people. It's frustrating. People are just like, "This is what the Matrix is about." No, that's what the bad guy's saying. It's not what it's about. Shut up.
Yeah. I really like when Smith says, "You've lost something, Tom. You're not what you used to be," and he says, "You're right." And like the answer is Trinity. Like I love that. That's just the sense of what's going on with Neo right now.
The end with the two of them flying together. Oh,
come on!
So good.
Oh, so good.
Quietly yearning for what you don't have while in fear of losing what you do.
Yep.
That's a great line from the analyst describing exactly what he's built the entire Matrix around.
Yearning.
I love the concept of the fail-safe, that like if the analyst plan goes wrong for even a moment, the machines are like, then we're going back to what the Matrix was before.
It's a good place.
We're going back to exactly what the original plan was. It is a good place. And the analyst is too cocky to evacuate Trinity. He's confident he'll get Neo back, so that's why he's not like just pulling the plug on his plans.
They do explain that like if that doesn't happen, then Trinity is likely dead, because like the analyst will not cop to the idea that he's had Neo and Trinity and just never told the humans. Like he can't do that, so he's like, if this happens, Trinity's going in the grinder.
Yeah.
All the captains volunteering is a great moment.
No,
they all
good.
step forward. Yeah, I thought that was
Good.
really great.
Good moment.
The concept of the Bugs bypass is really cool. We've talked about it visually, how great it is. I just wanted to highlight that. I think that's really cool that like the concept is like we can actually move her
consciousness
away as long as we make sure she is maintained being plugged into the Matrix till we get her on the ship. And the way to do that is that she has to be constantly plugged in. So they have to plug Bugs in while they unplug her and then replug her into the portable unit to get her into the Matrix. So like she never technically leaves the Matrix in a way.
Yeah.
So weird, but
she's
so
like
cool.
But she's like with one conscious between those two people.
And they use the other hole in their neck to kind of have that bypass together.
It's like this is like the one hole, and then you got the regular Matrix hole.
The
one
emotion.
hole.
Yeah.
The one hole.
The emotion when Carrie-Anne Moss says, there's a part of me that wants to say, what the hell took you so long, when she's not fully awake yet.
Yeah.
But it's there.
Yeah.
I love that.
Because like that's the whole the two of them at the coffee shop scene is like so good, because it's like it's there. They just can't, it's just out of reach.
They know it's there, but like it's one of those things where, like the leap is too scary to make. Like it's all or nothing. Like man.
Because Neo has been conditioned to be like, look, they got there's two things. You're either going crazy or you're in the Matrix again. And it's like,
I guess I'm crazy.
They both suck, but which would you rather be?
Yeah.
My name is Trinity, and you better take your hands off me. Is awesome.
She gives Chad
Love
a good
that
old
moment.
back,
That's a good
back
fist
heel
pump
kick.
moment. Yeah. And
That was pretty cool. You did the thing with that was pretty cool.
You're a poser.
The analyst has this whole thing where he says that he's confident that people will prefer no sentimentality or freedom.
They don't want the
they want-
sentimentality.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
they don't want that. I think that's I think that all that conclusion from the moment that they leap off the roof, and it's Trinity who's able to take them away. And when they come out of it and they look at each other and they hold their hands is so nice.
It's very nice.
And then them getting to both be the one, and them coming back in and with the sunglasses and the look, and people are like, "Well, this is the movie I wanted the whole time," and I'm like,
And again, I think it is really nice to be like, because like I think there is a version of this movie where Neo and Trinity do die. But like that's not the story that like.
But this is so much better.
This is so much better because it is a happy ending because both these characters did have sad endings before.
Right.
And it is just really nice that like in a big Hollywood thing that like you can have your cake and you can eat it too in this situation.
100%. Like maybe this might end up going down as like my top 5 favorite last shots of a film ever. There's the shot of them like dance flying in the sky, and like you can clearly see the big smile on Trinity's face.
Oh yeah,
as she's turning to grab his hand, and like the way that they twirl into the sun and everything. I'm like, that is beautiful. And it's just so. It feels so good. It doesn't feel like a big action beat. It feels like such a good like look at these two people completely in love, being able to fly into the sky, twirl around each other, and take off, and it's wonderful.
You have the first Matrix movie, which is cool, but like this one, it's
there's a bit more, like
powerful.
There's a bit more of an action.
No, yeah.
There's now he can mess up the world.
No, yeah.
Whereas this one is like they've already won. It doesn't matter what happens from here.
Yeah,
they've won because they got each other out.
We don't need another movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't think we were ever getting one. Like I don't agree with people who say maybe you guys say this and I don't know. But like I don't agree with people who say the set up the next one. I think this is a close-ended story.
No, I think this is.
I mean,
no. I did not think walking out of this movie. I did not come out of this movie thinking we're gonna get a Matrix 5. I'm thinking that's it. They're together. They're happy. There's peace. There's nothing else to do.
The cynical Hollywood version of me saying like this is a franchise. They're always looking to do another franchise.
Sure.
The problem is they allowed Lana Wachowski to make this movie, I just don't see a world where in the next 10 years. You make a follow-up to this movie without Lana Wachowski.
That's the thing is like I think this is the end of the road for the Wachowskis. I think this is the end of the road for Keanu
This could
Reeves
be
and
the
Carrie Ann
end
Moss.
of the Matrix story. Again, 60 years of prequel stuff we can
Not only that, like there's all kinds of things you can still. We've just gone through the comics, the Animatrix.
Yeah.
There are stories to still tell within the world of the Matrix. There's just nothing else that you should be telling that changes what the core of these films were.
Mhm.
You can tell plenty of stories that work around the outside of those films.
And you know what?
And I think there's plenty of interesting things to explore there, but this is rock solid.
Yeah, just like, you know, you have your new stuff and your classic stuff, like you can get like in the future you'll get a Matrix movie that is they're in the old Matrix. Why are we in the old Matrix? It's a mystery. That's cool. Don't tie to anything with this stuff.
I want a new video game.
Sure, absolutely.
Like that's the thing I've been clamoring for. The idea of like, you know, we really only have those 3 low budget video games, but like I want a AAA video game of the Matrix. I think that'd be awesome.
I want the heist movie you don't know is set in the Matrix. That's set like 10 years before they pulled Neo out.
It's still the best idea.
So
ever.
just like right in the mid 80s, and then an agent like appears, and you're like, oh no!
It's still the greatest idea, man.
Yeah, I really. Oh, I forgot what I was gonna say again. All right, let's move on.
You really like this movie, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, I do really like this movie.
Yeah, I think it's really beautiful that Lana put in the credits that this was for mom and dad. Love is the genesis of everything.
Absolutely.
I think again, like this is really nice because this is such a personal work, and I love it. I love this movie.
It really is like, and it's hyperbolic, but like in this situation, this is like the most like expensive like art blockbuster maybe ever made.
Yeah,
like this is a incredibly personal movie that's anti-sequel, anti the thing you want us to make. And I'm really shocked that they were allowed to make it. That Lana was allowed to make this movie that's basically like shitting on Warner Brothers for wanting to make something worse.
I think
awesome.
I think the Halloween. I think the sorry. I meant to say, I didn't want to say Halloween too, but I get from what you talked about with me, Sparks, that this is similar. But like the TL like the Last Jedi, I don't think this film is an anti-sequel. Honestly, like I don't think this film is against sequels. It's against sequels that misunderstand the point of the
That's what I
original.
mean. It's against the norm of sequels.
I think it's against sequels just for the purpose of like making another product.
Yeah,
I think
that's what I mean.
I think it's
Which
it's very much for sequels that are made with a reason, and like Lana had a reason to make this movie.
Like this is like out of everything we've seen in the last couple of years, like this is a sequel. I'm like, all right, cool. Like this one made sense. It wasn't just to be made.
That's the thing that I keep coming back to with this film that I struggle with, and like I'm sure maybe you guys see it, but I don't. Like when people, I might cry a little bit when people talk about like how cynical this movie is, and I'm like I just don't see it. It's not cynical. In my mind, this is the most hopeful and optimistic film I've seen in years. This movie is the farthest from cynical that I've seen in many years.
And honestly, Brandon, a lot of that comes down to just the type of person you are. Who there are people who just like are more cynical than we are, and like when you see a movie like this, you latch onto the stuff that you want to latch onto, and you ignore. Again, like you ignore the bugs section, you only latch onto the people around the table section talking shit about the Matrix.
I mean, and again, like this isn't everybody. Like I think there is valid criticism of this film that's out there, but like there are people who are out there who are saying like on platforms who are saying I wanted my Matrix 4 to be about them finally being the machines, and I'm like, but that was never the point once you got to Reloaded.
Yeah.
Like that was never what was supposed to happen. That was clearly not what they were structuring, and like you're just fighting what the story was telling you the whole time. If that's what you're for, which that could be fair. Like they might not have liked Reloaded or Revolutions either, and like they just wanted the like Terminator movie, and I get it.
Yeah, I think it is a situation where a lot of people don't see how important the love story is to those original movies, and if they haven't seen them in a while, watching this, it might be a little too much for you to be like, I thought the Matrixes were cool action movies, and this is just about like dumb love. And like, we don't feel that way. Obviously, emotion is very important to us in storytelling, but this is a sequel to, again, some of the greatest action movies ever made. So like, this is one of those situations where I don't feel as bad if people hate it.
And I do get like being jarred by the visual language being different, but the fact is that like the artist behind it has changed so drastically,
and 20 years,
and is only half of the original team.
Yeah,
but like Lana personally has changed as an artist so much from where they started, and they've talked a lot about like why the Matrix was the way it was and what they were expressing when they were making it, and what they express now, and like it's unfair to expect that to be the same. Just like it was unfair to expect George Lucas to make the exact same movies when he made the prequels.
Oh yeah, the most successful sci-fi movies of all time. Yeah, do it again. Like absolutely. Yeah.
It was unfair to expect them to have the exact same stuff going on for them.
And the longer, again, like if a new Matrix movie came out, 4 years after Revolutions, like it would be a completely different situation. Like this is almost 20 years removed now. And I think just people really just wanted another Matrix, and that's fair. I personally think you did get one, just maybe not the one you personally wanted.
Right.
Why I keep going to the Last Jedi analogy, where it's like I think it's a perfect Star Wars sequel. It's just not the one you wanted.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not the expectation that you possibly wanted. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, just to drive my biggest point home, I just don't see cynicism in this movie. I just don't.
Yeah. I think you're not looking in the right place. It's there, but there's the counter.
I
don't see it as the point. It's not the point.
Not the point. Yeah.
It's not the point. There is cynicism in this movie. The cynicism is the cynicism over consumerist product being created rather than art being put forward.
Yeah, yeah.
But the movie itself is a representation of that very thing being pushed back against.
Yeah.
So like it's saying like that doesn't always win the day. It definitely wins the day sometimes, but it doesn't always win the day.
It kind of reminds me of Tomorrowland also, where it's like the idea of like this is a hopeful future. This is a future where, let's take the film analogy again, where it's like, this is looking at like making The Force Awakens versus making The Matrix Resurrections, where it's like, yeah, okay, this can be seen as a product. This can be seen as art. And like, we believe that in the end, art will win out.
Yeah.
Like we believe that is the case. It's no longer people on Twitter yelling about like, oh, this is just consumerism now. There's nothing like that. But Lana Wachowski is saying, no, I don't think we're in this ride forever, guys. This is our future. Our future is this. Our future is not this. And like I appreciate that, much like I appreciate in Tomorrowland, where it's like our future is not destruction. Our future is peace.
Yeah. it is an unfortunate thing that this movie is so positive. And one, a lot of people don't like it, and two, it hasn't made that much money. So I don't think many lessons will be learned, unfortunately, with this movie. As much as
I'm very interested in how it's going to land. Just as Reloaded and Revolutions were reevaluated like 10 years on, I wonder how people will think about Matrix Resurrections when we've had another decade of a lot of sequels that this one could have been that are a little soulless, or just in general films that come out that are big blockbusters that are soulless.
Specifically where we are now in this generation of the MCU and all that stuff, I think in the future we will like this movie so much more. Like as a collective. Like we like it. I think it will get that cult classic, like, oh no, this is better than we give it credit for.
And then we'll be there being like, I always knew.
Episode 270.
I think there will be a reevaluation down the line of this film for the context of like looking back at like, look at all the movies that people haven't enjoyed that would have been what they thought they wanted this Matrix to be, and what this Matrix was actually saying about that at the time.
Like comparing this movie to Shang-Chi, like that's not right. This like they're not the same type of movie. As much as like, it's called The Matrix and The Matrix is a kung fu franchise, like this has more common with like dramas and like soap operas in a way, which is not a bad thing, but it's like it's more like
I almost kind of would prefer there was like no action in this movie.
Honestly, yeah, like all the action is my least favorite parts. So
I'm not saying like you have to, but I'm wondering about like, is there a version of this movie that works without the action? I do think so.
I'll tell you what, like you keep like the opening fight, the Morpheus fight, take out the Merovingian fight, take out the train fight, all the rest are fine.
Yeah. I think I'm out of notes. Unless we want to go into the Matrix Online.
No, I already did my time with the Matrix Online.
Matrix Online, which is probably no longer canon.
Not as much as you want.
No. That's the research I was doing, because I was like, is it canon? But like, it comes down to Morpheus. Morpheus died thinking that the machine war could never start up. In the Matrix Online, the war starts up almost immediately after Neo dies.
Yeah.
So it's
his body gets Horcruxed.
It can't be, and unfortunately can't be canon.
Yeah.
Certain ideas may be.
Sure.
Rate it.
Ben, did you have any last thoughts?
Oh yeah, Ben. Hey, what's up?
We've dominated this conversation.
I love the Matrix.
No, you guys saw it. Some of you saw it twice. I saw it when it came out in theaters. I still had a really good time with it. If I had negatives, I forgot what those negatives are. Other than that, I think the only pushback is there were parts of action that I really did enjoy. There was like the final scene with the helicopters with them on the rooftop, and they jump and Trinity's the one flying. I thought that was just like, oh hell yeah.
We all agree on that one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When he moves the missile with his force power, it's so cool.
Oh, that was so cool. That was so rad.
Just on the defense the whole time.
Other than that, I do agree with a lot of what you guys are saying, and I mean, I just don't get why people are constantly saying this movie sucks. This movie's this movie's like. One of the comments I keep seeing online, unfortunately, is like, "Oh, this movie is SJW woke shit." I'm like, no, it's not. This movie is about two people finding each other and loving each other and getting out of a prison, or getting out of like a virtual prison. That I don't know.
Wrong franchise to say that about. Wrong franchise to say that about.
The always has been.
Yeah,
always has been the wrong.
Is a trans allegory from 23 years ago at this point. Yeah, that movie. It's all
either way. This movie I really enjoy this movie. I don't understand why so many people say, "Oh, that." Although I do see like, why some like a lot of the people who do hate on this movie are air quotes dude bros.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I get enough of the criticisms to be like, yeah, okay, if you don't like this movie, you don't like this movie. There's a specific segment of people who don't like this movie that I'm like, you're wrong.
There are people I love that didn't care for this movie, and I get it. I understand why they didn't.
Yeah.
Why they didn't care for it.
Yeah. Other than that, I had a blast with it. So, I mean, do you want me to rate first?
Rate it.
I'll give it an 8. It was fun. It was fun, long, but other than that, I was still fully engaged. It answered all my questions I had from the last movie and why this movie was being made. And I was like, man, if they don't make another Matrix movie, I'll be content. However, they make Matrix video games, I'm all for it.
I think Sparks had it right with the Toy Story. Sorry, Patrick Williams, that you were echoing, had it right with the Toy Story 4 comparison.
Mm-hmm. Then they had another one.
I think that's very apt. I think this is a more successful, even version of what that was doing. But yes, I think that's
Ryan.
true.
Do you want to rate it next?
I will give it a 9 out of 10. I really like the movie a lot.
Sparks.
It's probably so close to a 10. I'll say 9.5.
Yeah,
because like there are some issues. They're just so minor. I get so much emotional value out of it that it's pretty close to a 10.
I just think of like if I rewatch this and I'm like I just know there are scenes that I'm like I just don't want to watch those scenes and like it doesn't affect me.
Yeah. That takes it down a bit.
It does for me. Yeah.
I put this on my top 10, so obviously I love this movie a lot. I love all the Matrix films. I was very happy with this film. Its message resonated like crazy with me. The message about love. It's just something I needed in life, just in general. And it is very close to a 10. But I think I will
Remember, Brandon, come on, buddy.
I think I will also go to a 9.5.
There we go.
All right. Mag is here. Wonder he's been on there. Yeah, he messages a while ago. It's like, just watched. What did I miss? A lot, buddy.
Just rewind the tape an hour and a half.
Yeah, and he gives it a 7.5.
Too low, Mag.
Mag,
you are not part of the podcast.
No, come back. No, I didn't see that 7.5.
I kid. I'm
9
sorry you
and a
didn't like it as much as we did.
Brandon always asks every week for what people's thoughts are on these things. So
I did. Mike Mottola had a bit on the first Matrix that I forgot to read out, where he was like, "It's everything the Matrix Resurrections had to say about itself." I'm like, "Sure, buddy." He's wrong. He's not wrong. And someone else said they really enjoyed it. I'm sorry, I don't have your thing. Book club.
Book club.
All right, I should have had this prepared.
Oh.
Ben.
Yep.
Take it away.
Will do. So my book club this week is from Spider-Man's Tangled Web. Wow. Okay, I guess I'm going full screen this time. Issue number 11. And it's written and drawn by Darwin Cook with colors or with inks by Jay Bone, and color and I don't know what steps is Matt Hollingsworth. So yeah, I picked this book because we're getting close to Valentine's Day. I mean, it's like 2 weeks away now, give or take. And I don't think and this book was just in my head. And because funny enough, I had this book ever since I was a little kid. I have the physical version. It's packed away somewhere in there. I wasn't able to find it. But yeah, this is one of the one Spider-Man comic books I've had ever since I was a little kid. I found it at an airport in Costa Rica, of all places, and in English. And I've just read it and had it for years, and I really enjoy it. The art was the one thing that really grabbed me, and I've loved it. And I've decided, it's been a long time. Let me give it let's reread it. So what did you guys think of this one?
Well, just the one issue, right?
It's just one issue.
Okay. It's cute.
I love Darwin Cook's art. It was wonderful to see it again. I just like watching it and looking at it and anything. The art was really the highlight for me in this time around.
I gotta tell you, it's been a long time since I've read a Archie comic.
Yeah.
This is just Archie with Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I like Darwin Cook's art in it a lot. I find like the thing I liked the most was pretty much the subplot with Jameson. To be honest.
So there's a whole plot with like two girls going on a date with a guy, and Spider-Man is like.
Oh, I do like that they both like that Peter was focused on Spider-Man things and just kind of like, yes, sure. His way into like dates on Valentine's Day that he didn't intend to.
Multiple dates.
Yeah.
Which is cute. Then he gets like his ass kicked and he's just like passed out for like 10 hours. It's a cute story. I honestly don't have a lot to say, but like the Eugene Tomb things is cute, or like he's just trying to go get help to his lady too. Like it's cute. Like it's hard to talk about just a single issue when not a lot happens.
Yeah. I mean, it's a single issue. What I like about it is that it's a single issue, and also it does kind of tell a story from it. It's not about Spider-Man. It's about J. Jonah Jameson. It's about Spence. It's about Lisa and Misc. It's about them, where Spider-Man is, of course, the focal point. But of course, he's knocked down an alleyway, and he can't. And he's like exhausted. He just fought the Vulture.
I didn't quite like Spence's story.
Yeah, that's cute.
Yeah. Yeah, but I did like Jameson a lot. I do like Miss K and Lisa. But really, just that art, just any excuse to read Darwin Cook's or just to see Darwin Cook's art again is always a plus. And even when I was rereading, I was like, man, there's a lot of stuff in this. Because as a kid, I was like, man, this is a pretty long book. But as I was rereading, it's like, damn, this is a lot shorter than I remember. Holy crap!
Also a little risque.
It
Yeah.
moves at a clip.
Yeah.
Did you say you didn't quite like Spence's story, or did?
Me?
No, I did.
Yeah, no, Brandon.
Yeah, I did like it.
Okay, I couldn't hear you clearly. That's why I was asking.
Sorry. Yeah, I did like it.
There's one cute thing that I like Flash Thompson. So he's like, "Excuse me, doll. It seems a shame that you're all alone tonight. Why not let old Flash show you a little romance?" And she's like, "Sorry, Flash. I already have a date with a guy with a job and a personality." And Jenny's like, "Ah, you suck, Flash." I'm like,
I do really like the girls painting their different like idea futures for what
Yeah,
their life
yeah.
would be like with Peter Parker.
I like the action photographer Peter Parker's front page.
Yeah, I think that's really fun.
It ends with a lady saying to the vulture, "Let's bang, let's make love."
Yeah.
There's the ending of Spider-Man's story is that he's just laid passed out on the ground with the two girls there being like, "Oh, Peter, we're so sorry we upset you."
It was like,
Oh my God.
What talk about? He's the one who's screwed up.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured this was just a nice, a little fun, quick, cute little Valentine's Day story.
Yeah.
So
It was cute. Yeah. I didn't hate it. It's just like not
Yeah,
a lot to talk about.
yeah, there's no.
It's very fun.
Yeah, you're right. There's not a whole lot to talk. There's not a whole lot to talk about, except just don't maybe put laxatives in your enemy's coffee, because then their wife might drink it and they'll come back to force you to drink it.
Pretty good.
Ben, I'm
Yeah.
totally happy that you picked it because, it was a short, quick issue, so we were able to just talk about Matrix Resurrections for way too long. So, good job.
I'm happy about that.
Most
Was
of this
not-
episode, for the first time ever, the majority of this episode is our topic.
It was,
Beautiful.
yeah. You know what? That was not my intention, because when I picked this book, I was like, man, I remember this book. Let's give it a read again. It's fun. It's a quick little read. It'll be nice. And then it's like, that was a lot shorter than I remember. Holy,
Do
okay.
you know what I think is nice, Ben?
What?
Ryan's pick for the book club.
Hey guys, guess what? You're right, Ben. It is almost Valentine's Day. So I'm gonna do something that I did for Halloween, and I'm gonna pick an ensemble of comics that are gonna read, and they're all X-Men related, baby. I love Emma Frost. That's my favorite X-Men character. She was in a relationship with Cyclops, Scott Summers, for many years, and then they're not in a relationship anymore, and it makes me sad. So we're gonna read a bunch of Emma Frost Cyclops stories, but first, Brandon, get your pen down because I got a lot to give you. We're gonna read.
Sparks, you got it?
Oh, you got it too. Somebody got it. I thought somebody got it. All right. First thing we're going to read is Uncanny X-Men 186 Life Death. This is a solo story about Storm. I'm going to read the thing here because I love it a lot. Now powerless and depressed, Storm is taken in by the mutant Forge, who tries to alleviate her anguish. This is in the 80s. It's one of the best X-Men stories from the 80s. It's a little romantic. And then after that, hold on, I got a list. I got to pull it up. Sorry. So first is Life Death. Second, Cable number 6 from the 2000s run. Cable number 6. This is a story that focuses on Emma and Scott dealing with Cable because he's a time traveler. It's very sweet. After Cable number 6, we got Dark X-Men: The Confession. It's a one-shot that's dealing with the aftermath of Dark Avengers when Emma was evil for a little bit. So we're going to see some Scott and Emma dealing with some romance stuff. And then finally, Uncanny X-Men 518 and 519. It's the Void arc, where Emma Frost has part of the Void in her head from the Sentry. So Scott Summers goes into her head telepathically to try to fight inside Emma's head, and it's a pretty story. These are all love-based, romance-based, not a lot of action. Very dialogue-heavy. Letting you guys know now, don't read this last minute because there's a lot to read, and there's a lot of good character stuff. These are some of the most pivotal, emotional stuff that happened to these characters. So I want you to actually read it and absorb it because it's a lot of influential stuff that's happening now. This is the reason things are the way they are now. Very excited to read. So much love. Just so much love in the X-Men.
What was the last 2 issues again?
518, 519.
Of
518,
Uncanny X-Men.
Uncanny X-Men.
It's in our book club note.
And I will also... Yeah, you got it. I was going to say, I have all the pictures here to send you to if you need them.
Cool. Okay.
That's 5 issues, but some of them are 30 pages. So it's like a good trade.
Yeah. All right. So that's that. Cool. All right.
Yeah,
Next
so
week-
just for the sake of it, downloading that sucker right now.
It's so easy on Marvel Unlimited. You just type in a thing and then bing bong bong, it's there. That's how I did
Well, I
it.
mean, I've been wanting to download Marvel Unlimited for a long time because it's also going to save me a lot of money in the comic book store. So
It's dude, 3 months wait. You only wait 3 months for new comics. It's like half my pull list is gone. It's amazing.
one of the reasons why I'm going to do it.
Next week, Moonfall?
Is that next week?
That's
We
next
are
week.
undecided on what
Next
we're
week.
doing.
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
Yeah, stay tuned. Our month of the Matrix is over, so stay tuned for whatever we do next.
Woo.
It'll be another episode next week.
I mean,
Who knows what it'll be about?
I don't know why I was doing Ryan's woo.
I don't know.
Woo.
Oh,
Let's all do it.
I also agree with Patrick Williams' assessment that the song is probably the right choice, but doesn't necessarily quite feel as good as you want it to. And he suggested that the song, when the movie ends, should have been Hopeless Place. Rihanna found love in a hopeless place. And someone cut it together on Twitter, and it's great. And I agree. It's awesome.
That's good.
Awesome.
All right. Mag, of course, being MVP, you take care as well, buddy.
You the best, Mag.
I'm gonna do the Sati.
Sati. Very exaggerated. Big fan of it.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Okay, I was happy that she came. Was that the same? Okay, you're gonna yell at me if I messes up, but was that the
Not
same
the same
actor? I had. Okay.
It would have
But it
been
looks a
dope.
lot like her.
God damn it, Ben! How
Yeah.
dare? Why would I get mad at you for that?
They got a very, very famous person to play that character instead of the actress. So that's fine.
Yeah. All right, so
Let's
that's that. Hold on. All right, so that's that. Thank you to everyone who listens. No, I'm kidding, Ben. I made a screen go away for you audio listeners. All right. Yeah, I know you know.
Sorry, the second I said it, the reasoning kicked in.
God. All right. That's it. Stay tuned next week. We're back. Of course.
What?
Oh, he laughed. He took his screen away.
Can't do that.
Yeah, all right. Anyway, rule of 3.
Things are unraveling fast now.
We just have to just gotta do it a third time. Rule of 3. All right.
Okay.
Make sure to like this video. Make sure to subscribe to this channel. You can check out all sorts of things, such as Fichtner's Watch. We kind of discussed what we're going to do for our next Fichtner's Watch stuff, so it'll probably be specials for a bit. So we don't know what we're doing as far as episode by episode yet, so stay tuned. We'll figure that out. There will be a Star Trek Discovery return, though, next week. Holy shit, it's next week. Fuck. Yeah. All right, Basement Arcade, Mortal Kombat X for Basement Arcade. That's going up. Basement Arcade Pause been a new episode this week, Ben, I believe.
Yes, this week.
I believe.
Cool. Fichtner Book Club and Animation Station also shows on this channel. You can check them all out. Subscribe, like, check them out. We love you. You can check out our Crafted by Z mask. You know, hey, still a pandemic. Buy some masks. Crafted by Z mask. Woo-doo. I don't know what's wrong with me. You can check out our Patreon. You can check out our TeePublic if you'd like to support us financially. We greatly appreciate it. We got a lot of cool shirts up there on TeePublic. Find all these links in the description and find all these links on our website at FichtnerPodcast.com. Thank you to everyone who listens. Thank you to everyone who watches the rewind. Thank you to everyone who watches the live stream. We greatly appreciate all of your support. We love you guys. Thank you to Jeremy Vellucci for our music, all the music you've heard here tonight, all the music for all of our shows. You can find him at Jeremy Vellucci Keyboards. You can find his podcast, returning his podcast, Suburban Proctologist is in the works. It's coming back, guys.
Happy birthday to Jeremy Vellucci.
Happy birthday to Jeremy Vellucci.
Happy birthday. Yay.
You can find his podcast, Suburban Proctologist, on iTunes, of course. But, of course, Suburban Proctologist official or Instagram at SubPodcast. Mike Matola. Find him at TikTok and Instagram at Mike Matola. He's the guy who does some of our logos. We love him. Hopefully get him on soon.
You did that?
Do you point at that every time?
Every
Or
time
just
you mention
tell
the
us?
logos, I always point this at our logo because he made this logo. And it's a pretty cool logo.
It's true.
Oh, okay.
All of it.
Oh,
Every time you mention he does our logos, this is the one he did.
I know. All right. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all at Fichtner Podcast. FichtnerGuys@gmail.com. If you'd like to get in touch with us personally, I'm a BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. I also write a ongoing series on Atomic Geekdom. I also write for Screen Rant. Check out those links below. Ben.
You can find me still screaming into the void that NFTs are utter garbage at BenMaggot27 on Instagram and Twitter. You can also find me writing for Old School Gamer magazine, the magazine, and the website, although I don't know when exactly my first article is going to be printed, but that's good. I'll let you guys know soon. And also writing for GoNintendo.com once that website gets up and running. And finally, Fusion Gaming Magazine, out in England, but they are going to try to bring some stuff over here to America. Once again, I'll let you guys know when all that stuff is coming up. But that's been fun.
Good times. I also forgot I'm the editor of Kaiju Ramen Media, on their website only, not there. I also forgot that one. Sparks?
You can't find me on anything else because all the products I create for you to consume are only here on the Fake Nerd Network and family of channels. So suckers, suck on that. You can find me painting the sky with rainbows at Sparks Witty on Instagram and Twitter, SPRKZ Witty. You will not get my opinions anywhere else.
And Ryan?
You can find me realizing that nothing comforts anxiety like a little nostalgia at DJ Tony Stark.
I like that line.
Real. There's that word again. All right, subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music and Podcasts, and Pandora. Rate and review wherever you get us. We greatly appreciate it. Like this video, subscribe to our channel. Until next time you see us.
Wait. The cat tricks.
Stay fake, nerds.